What is up, NPBF fans and coaches and anyone who has found our amazing channel? We are back once again for NPBF Season 19 for the draft analysis. And as always, I am the head of the commissioner team of the NPBF. My name is Jeff. I also go by PokePrimer and assorted other things across the internet. If you're willing to look hard enough, never look hard enough. And I am joined by my fellow commissioner, Alex, a.k.a. Mr. Newcorn, a.k.a. the Greenwich Guillotina's coach. We both came out of retirement this season. We out here rocking it. What up, Alex? How you doing?
Hello. We're okay. I don't know. We'll have to see how non-retirement goes, because the stress of not playing was pretty damn good, let me tell you. Or the lack of stress from not playing, rather. It's pretty damn good.
It definitely was. That time off was very, very nice, and then we both got dragged back in, kicking and screaming, to fill positions that just kept popping up, and here we are. We caught the itch, and we're locked back in, it seems.
Indeed.
But we are here. We have a brand new league document. As you can see, it is fully automated. It is absolutely amazing. Shout out to Greg. He is the absolute GOAT. He joined D-League this season. Alex brought him in, and he made this doc for us. Fresh docs for main and D-League, and it's just absolutely amazing. I was tinkering with it a little bit before we started recording. I was geeking out, man. It's too good.
Yeah, Doc's insane.
So this season, a couple things to note. We made a few big changes. We moved to a points-based draft system to kind of modernize a little bit, but kind of fix a lot of the issue we had with, tiering-wise at least. There was a lot of points where we would look at some Mons and be like, that Mon's definitely too good to be tier 3, but that's not good enough to be tier 2, or something along those lines a lot of the time. So, points-based system kind of fixes that, because
for now,
if it's a little bit too good to be worth 12 points, we can just bump it to 13, and it's not that big of a deal. Kind of makes things feel a little bit more priced appropriately. We also moved to a bit of a variant in the form of how many Mons you need. You can get 10 to 12 for your team, with a specified point total of 110 points to draft your roster, which was I found pretty interesting. It seems like a lot of the teams are pretty strong, but there's a lot of teams that feel very top heavy. I'm sure we'll get into a lot of that as we go through. It's going to be very interesting to see how a lot of these teams function. This is a different style for a lot of our coaches, because some of our coaches don't really play in other leagues besides ours. So it's a very different style, and it's been interesting to see how some of these coaches have adapted to it. And the last change that we made is we edited how we did our Terra types. So we made it so that Pokemon of 8 points and below could be nominated, and you had 12 points to nominate Pokemon with. And each Mon can have 3 Terra types, one of which has to be Stab, and then the other 2 can be any other typing besides the Stabs. So it's 3 types, gives it a lot more variability, and a lot more interesting things can go on in regards to what they can do. I'm very, very interested to see how this plays out for our coaches throughout the season, what kind of interesting strategies will come out of this new change. So I'm very excited for this season. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The DLC brought us a lot of interesting Mons, a lot of wild new things that our coaches are excited to play with. So I think without further ado, let's take a peek at what these coaches scooped up for their teams this season. Alex, why don't you break down the first one for us?
Right. So, new year, season,
You sound like you are 2 miles away.
I am very far away. I forgot I flipped I flipped my mic up because I was doing stuff and I didn't want to bug you.
I got you.
So let me restart that. First, we're gonna look at Anders, the runner-up from D League last season with the Ayrshire. I hope I'm saying that right. Probably not. Scythers. He this season has picked up Palafin, who still has Jet Punch banned. Slow King Galler, King Gambit, Salamence, Sandy Shocks, Breloom, Hisui Typhlosion, Kilowattrel, Sandslash Alola, and Illumise, with Sandslash and Illumise being his Terra captains, having Ice, Water, and Flying, and Bug, Fairy, and Dark, respectively.
It's a very interesting looking roster. Very, very interesting roster indeed. Where do we begin? I mean, Palafin is Jet Punch is a wild pick.
Especially, another thing to note is that Anders did have the first overall pick of the season.
True, very true.
So Palafin without Jet Punch being first overall pick is not a great move.
No, very surprising. Very surprising pick for sure.
You know, we had things like Dragapult, Iron Valiant, Excalibur,
Chi-Yu, Great Tusk. So many amazing mons.
Even Roaring Moon.
There. Yeah, so many amazing mons still chilling up there. So Palafin getting scooped up first without Jet Punch, kind of wild. But at the same time, like, it is still a very strong mon. It is still very, very bulky. A lot of natural bulk to it. And it might just be something he's comfortable with using. So it could be interesting to see how he utilizes it throughout the course of the season. He's got also, got a good mons to back it up with.
I mean, this is not a top-heavy team. It's a good balance right here.
Very much so, for sure. Very surprised he didn't decide to Terra either the Typhlosion or the Kilowattrel. I'm very shocked about that one.
Typhlosion's got a really good typing on its own, and so does Kilo.
Yeah.
One of Sandslash's problems is that it has 2-4 times weaknesses.
That is true. Like, I can understand.
And Illumise needs something to be usable.
That's also very fair.
Like, I've used Sandslash, and its typing is what holds it back.
Indeed. Well, I can definitely see that being useful. Being able to go mono steel on it, plus water and flying, I think are both good.
Oh, that's steel. I think I said ice by accident because I couldn't. Yeah, no. If I said ice, yeah, that is actually steel, and that is very useful to have.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of did something similar for my steel type of my team, so I can understand that decision. I think it just works. I think it works really well. It's a good way to just get that solid mono steel defensively, plus Sandslash's stats do help a lot in that department. It never gets to utilize its defenses because of its many 4 times weaknesses, but now being able to change its typing, I could see more defensive variants coming on a regular basis, which could be very interesting to see. He's got some really solid...
Especially with him giving it water.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a good defensive typing. I think that'll be really useful. And Illumise is... it's here. It's going to be annoying. That's the big thing about it, is it's annoying. Any prankstermon like Illumise is always going to be a nuisance to deal with. So I'm sure he's going to come up with a lot of annoying ways for that thing to poke around and cause issues. But things like Sandy Shocks as well are going to be really big deals to deal with. I think we're also neglecting... I completely neglected the Slow King Galler. Chilly Reception is going to be huge for this team, getting that extra momentum. Bringing in things like Sandy Shocks, bringing in things like Salamence to get Dragon Dances off, bringing in things like Typhlosion to potentially fire off Eruptions, or the Sandslash just to get sweeping, possibly. I could see a lot of different scenarios where that Slow King is going to be a constant threat for opponents to deal with. Trying to get rid of that thing early is going to be huge. That Chilly Reception, man. originally, I didn't think anything of it when it was first talked about as a move, but man,
I told you immediately that move was going to be busted.
I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it, and I was a fool. I was an absolute fool.
Yeah, and I only knew that just from playing around with it comboed with Titan.
Yeah, I mean that thing went crazy. That thing went crazy. So this is a really solid looking draft. I'm really feeling Andrew's draft. I think it has a lot of potential.
Still disagree with Palafin round 1 at pick 1. I think that was a horrible move.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
You could have gotten something so much better.
But like at the same time, yeah, I'm really interested to see how he utilizes it. I think it'll be an interesting pick to see played around with. I think the one thing that I can see is as a minor issue is a huge gap in speed tiers in the upper end.
Yeah.
It goes from 125 down to 101, and so like there's a lot of mons in that middle area there that get to freely run Adamant Modest and get that extra damage buff against his team.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be really punching holes. And like even in the middle area, like big gap between Typhlosion and Breloom. I don't count Illumise because even though its speed sits
don't forget Salamence is 100.
Yeah. But like Salamence down to Typhlosion is not really that big of a deal, but Typhlosion to Breloom, that's a huge jump. I think that's like 90 or 95 down to 70. That's kind of rough.
Is Typhlosion not also base 100?
I'm pretty sure it's not.
I know Johto Typhlosion is at least base 100.
Yeah, Johto Typhlosion is base 100, but I'm pretty sure that Hisuian is slightly slower. I'm pretty sure it's
I'm going to look because I don't know anything about this mon.
Yeah, base 95.
Okay. So yeah, it sucks.
They slowed it down but gave it more special attack.
Okay, so it sucks. Got it.
Yeah, 95 down to 70 is also a big gap, so I could definitely see a lot of coaches utilizing that to their advantage very, very easily, and could be something that could cause a lot of issues for him down the line. But, you know, we'll see how things go, because he does have the offensive pressure to constantly kind of mitigate some of those issues at the same time.
I mean, yes, but also, like, offensive pressure doesn't mean shit if you are being outsped and just bopped every turn and can't present that offensive pressure in the first place.
Very true. So, it'll be interesting to see how he combats that. I think I know he is a good player, so I definitely expect that he will be able to do well despite that issue, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see how his opponents capitalize on that. Next up, we have a back-to-back champion, which it's been a while since we've been able to say that. Crazy.
Yeah.
We got Floyd and his Baltimore Corviknights coming back for another season with Hisuian Gudra, Grimmsnarl, Zapdos, Rillaboom, Hawlucha, Armarouge, Umbreon, Inteleon, Gligar, and Avalugg. He has Inteleon as a Terra Captain with Water, Grass, and Fire, and Avalugg with the Ice, Fairy, and the Fighting. Very, very solid-looking roster here. Once again,
I mean, he just drafted his greatest hits, so...
Yeah, and it works. It's a strategy that works. Hisuian Gudra tore it up a lot down in D-League last season. I know it was a very, very prominent mon down there. It did had a couple big sweeps. It was very, very dangerous. It's such a strong, insanely bulky mon with one of the best typings in the game. So that's going to be a huge threat for people to break through. Paired with things like Zapdos to help cover for its weaknesses. That's going to help a lot. Rillaboom plus Hawlucha is going to be a huge nuisance for people to deal with. Inteleon's going to be nuking through things.
Inteleon's shit. Don't gas it up.
Listen, it's not great, but like,
it is bad.
It has so much potential with sniper boosted crit snipe shots with Terra boosts. to them. Like, there's some potential with Inteleon as a Terra Captain. I think that thing's going to be a huge threat.
It still sucks.
It does, but it's fast and it sucks, and it
is a bad water type.
Got strong crits, and strong crits are a bad thing.
It's a bad water type.
I don't know. We'll have to see how bad it is. I'm terrified of it. I don't want to deal with it.
Do you have to deal with it? I don't know.
Honestly,
I haven't looked.
I haven't looked past week 1.
I'm pretty sure I do, but I'm not scared. I'm not afraid of Inteleon. So
I hope Inteleon sweeps you.
It won't.
We'll see. I as an Inteleon, as a longtime Inteleon stan, we shall see.
Okay, so I guess you're a school shooter. Gotcha.
Hey, listen. He's a super secret agent, man.
He's a fucking school shooter.
He's the star of the greatest shonen anime of the 90s.
He's a fucking school shooter. Okay, so the other thing we gotta talk about is these speed tiers homeboys got going on are awful.
120 drops down to 100, drops down... the 120/118 drops down to 100, drops down to 85 with Rillaboom.
Rillaboom's 85. I thought it was slower than that. I was just going to whatever Grimmsnarl is.
Gligar and Rillaboom are 85, and then it drops down again to 75 for Armarouge, then 60 for Goodra and Grimm.
Grimm is that... Yeah, these speed tiers are awful.
Yeah, not a lot in the
no
high
offense
end.
to you, Floyd, but this is bad.
Not a lot in the high end, and he's got that decent gap in the 90s section as well. Not too ideal there.
Oh, Jesus. I did not realize Grimmsnarl was that slow.
Oh, yeah, Grimmsnarl is basically handicapped. He's hobbling on one leg. He's basically Zach Gowen.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's going to get me canceled. That's fine. I've said enough things on these things that would probably get me canceled at this point. I've given up. But speed tiers are a bit rough.
Speed tiers are not good. There's also no special bulk on this team besides Goodra.
Yeah, trying to rely on.
Oh no, that's you know what I said that before I re-looked at Umbreon.
Yeah, Umbreon plus Goodra, that thing's gonna be that's gonna be insane. Although having your 2 special bulks both be weak to fighting is probably not ideal. Good. But he also has so many things. We have been joined.
Before, I hate to cut you off, but we've actually just been joined by the Doc creator himself.
The Doc God?
He is, in fact, here.
I am.
Oh my god. We are not worthy. We are not worthy. I am bowing to my screen. This is Greg, ladies and gentlemen. He is the GOAT. He is the Doc God that created this beautiful, amazing document you see before you. He is amazing and should be praised as such.
Thank you. You might want to praise me now, just because I don't think you'll want to be praising me when I finally hit D-League, or when I hit the main league next.
He's coming right up. He's coming right up to main.
Oh yeah, no, I don't plan on sticking around in D-League for very long.
This man's ready. He's coming. He's coming for us all. I'm terrified of it.
So before we move on, Greg, do you have any thoughts on the Baltimore Corviknights team?
Immediately, I'd say I'm not particularly... I don't think the Terra types or the Terra captains are particularly good choices. I don't know if you guys talked about that.
We did not.
Oh. I don't see... Avalugg, obviously, its major shortcoming is that, it's a slow defensive ice type. And Terra benefits it because you can make it not that anymore, but I don't see why fighting is one of the 2 choices. I think Steel is a much more sensible choice. Sure, that keeps the weaknesses to fire and fighting, but Steel, is a premier, or even just water. Those are the premier.
He has used Terra Water Avalugg very well in the past.
Yeah. I think the only reason
I can think of for
fighting... Only reason I can think of is, he might have goals in mind of trying to get a Terra fighting body press Avalugg sweep at some point in some crazy universe, but I don't see that being possible here. I don't see anyone falling for that.
I would have, because I hadn't thought of that until you said it just now.
You just gotta get inside my head, man.
Its special bulk is still so atrocious, though. So all something needs to do is outspeed it and hit it with like any special attack, and it drops.
Yeah,
that's true. That's very true. That's the struggle with Avalugg with using it at all. Is like you have to be worried about that because like even teching on a special move on a normally physical mon tends to just be enough sometimes to blow it back, which is hilarious. It's like when people used to put Hidden Power Fire on random physical mons to take out Kartana.
Oh, exactly.
I've seen Hidden Power Fire Doug Trio do it, and it's hilarious. So
HP Fire on Doug Trio? I haven't seen that one before.
Oh, it was. I think it was in like a prominent draft
That's
league on
stupid.
YouTube or something, but it was hilarious. They literally just teched it on for the Kartana, and it worked perfectly. They trapped it, they popped it with the HP Fire. It absolutely nuked the Kartana. It was funny. It was so funny. Peak draft
that's
league.
so dumb. That's so dumb.
Yeah, never let that man back in the kitchen again. Like, that HP Fire burned it down.
It was way too hot. It was way too hot for the kitchen.
Also, if HP Fire Doug Trio is like your answer to Kartana, I'd be kind of concerned about what kind of team you're drafting in a format where Kartana is legal.
True. Very true.
I mean, other than that, I think there's really good synergy on the team. I think Rillaboom is a great add. Like, Rillaboom's Grassy Terrain synergy, obviously, with Unburdened Hawlucha. It combos great with Armarouge. Armarouge really likes a nice little seed set every now and then. Makes Goodra 10 times bulkier to have, like, especially if you stack it with lefties. So, I like the team overall. I just don't really understand the Terra captains.
Okay.
That's fair.
Well, why don't you then take us into Anthony, who, the SAS Master, could not be here today. Introduce us to the Blizzards, Greg.
So,
What's he got?
I mean, I like this team a lot. I think this is a lot of really strong threats that are really versatile. I mean, there's a great defensive core in Corv and Tinglu. That Grafii is like, it's really fast. I'm buying this for potential acro sweeps, and I think it's interesting.
Grafii actually is nuts. There was a D-League coach last season that managed to set up Swagger Mirror Herb sweeps with it.
That is an unbelievably devious thing, and I love it to death.
I've done that to other people who had to prep for said coach.
That's so funny.
Yeah, Grafii actually is really dirty, especially as a Terra captain. Because you can because like the thing is you just Swagger Mirror Herb Terraflying Acrobatics, and then what do they do?
It's essentially it's like a poor man's Roaring Moon.
Honestly, yeah, pretty much. It's and it gets the job done. I mean, it's
got effective. A really usable attack stat. His speed tiers are pretty okay, I think, right?
Yeah, they don't look
they're good.
Cyclozar 121. He's got the Lycan Rocket 110. Jumps down to the Shaman at 100. Grafii is also up there at 110 as well. He's got like Annihilate at 90. Gardevoir at 80. He's honestly probably the most balanced speed tiers we've seen so far. Volcanion at 70. Corv is like, what, 60-something? 68?
67.
67, I was close. And then Tinglu and Vikavolt down in the 40s. Like, if your only real gap is 67 down to the 40s, like, I think you're good.
Yeah, for sure.
That's actually insanely good speed tiers. Some of the better speed tiers I've seen in a while. Very impressive, Anthony. Very impressive.
I think this team is... Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
We talk over each other a lot.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty common.
I think this team is very well constructed. I mean, there's also a really good balance of, like, physical and special threats.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also things that can go either way. Like, obviously, Shaman can go either way. Volcanion can go either way. And so it creates a lot of potential scenarios for opponents to have to prep for. I think it's very threatening. And like you said, like the overall speed tier balance was really well done with this team.
Yeah, it's just about as perfect as you can possibly get it, which I think is a huge testament to Anthony and his drafting ability at this point. Like, he's a master when it comes to prepping for battles, but he's also a master at crafting teams, and like, this team is so nicely put together. It really covers itself nicely. Everything is constantly threatening. There's so many different things that each mon can do for the team. It's got everything it could possibly want and more. I think it's really, really solid.
I will say the only big glaring issue that I see is that there is one ice resist, and it's Volcanion.
Yeah, but it's a big resist. He's only got what? Oh, he's got 3 things weak to that. Never mind.
Yeah, not ideal. Definitely not ideal. But like, even the things that don't resist fully, like things like Corviknight and Annihilate, have such insane natural bulk. I think that could help balance it out a little bit. And, being able to Terra Steel with the Vikavolt as well, I think could be partially a way to kind of mitigate that issue. Definitely an issue he's going to have to, pay attention to for sure, a lot in his prep, but I think he has the tools in place to potentially deal with those issues as they arise. But good call out. Very good call out.
Yeah, no, I mean, he also has, Lycanroc Dusk, which has Accelerock to threaten priority on any potential ice type. But, I mean, you also have to worry about every single water type probably carrying ice coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I imagine there's a ton of Terra Icers in this league overall.
There's a few. We've already seen... we've only seen one so far, but we'll see more.
Coming up right next.
We do.
That's true, though both of them are already naturally ice types, so...
They don't have a choice. You're stuck with it. This next team, we have the Dublin Dusclops. Alex, I believe it is your turn.
It could very well be. He made the smart decision, somehow, got Dragapult at, like, pick 11 or 12, or 10, I don't know what number he was.
It was far enough into the draft that it didn't make any sense.
We're at a point where he should have gotten it. So, Anders, you could have prevented this. Just saying. Cinderace, Moltres, Galar, Glamora, Rotom-Mow, Diancie, Vaporeon, Mudsdale, Medicham, Ice-Cube, Berserker, Kricketune with Medicham and Ice-Cube being his Terra captains at Fighting, Electric, Poison, and Ice, Water, Fairy, respectively. The first thing I'm going to say is I don't love this team's speed tiers outside of his, like, first 2 Pokemon. Otherwise, it's kind of slow, but besides, like, well, first 2 obviously very fast. Moltres, Galar's okay. Glamora's okay, but then the rest of this team is fucking dog fuck besides Medicham when it comes to speed.
And Medicham barely counts.
Yeah.
Although, giving it close
base 100?
Getting it... nope, base 80.
Oh, I was thinking of the Mega.
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, he does have Ice-Cube, which in its no-ice form is pretty fast.
Very true. Very true. Gets up
but
to
of course, that
130.
requires it to actually get hit with a physical move first, which, if people know that potentially can be coming, it's really easy to avoid.
Oh, yeah. Ice-Cube, when it first came out, was such a massive threat because, like, nobody really understood fully right away how Ice Face worked. And so, like, people just kept running headfirst into I'm gonna hit it with a physical move. Oh, it popped its Ice-Cube. Oh, it subbed. Oh, it got the belly drum. Oh, it's faster than me. Oh, I lose. Oh. And it happened all the time. People just kept running headfirst into it, and no one knew what to do about it. But now, at this point, Ice-Cube's secrets have kind of been sussed out to the point of everyone just kind of knows how to deal with it. And it kind of still only does, like, 1.5 things okay. And sweeping is not one of them anymore, because everyone just kind of knows, don't hit it with a physical move. Just don't. And you're fine.
Yeah, even if it gets up a belly drum, it's still not that threatening if it hasn't been busted.
Yeah, exactly. And you can get around the belly drum set very easily. Like if you have a mon with sound moves, you just hit it with a hyper voice or something along those lines to kind of do the extra damage you need to kill it off before it can really get going, or just if you have any mixed attackers that you might think it can set up in front of, you can just tech on a solid enough special move that it can hit it with and knock it out. Either way, a lot of options to get around Ice Cube. I'm interested to see how he utilizes it, for sure, because, with Terra, I could see some interesting things being done, but Ice Cube's not something that's atop of the fear list, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this just seems like a team that's pretty weak to a special hit.
Yeah, its highest special bulk is Deoncé, which is, obviously it's
very high.
And then Moltres.
And Vaporeon has better special bulk than physical.
That's true, but yeah, I mean that's
95 special
stat though.
Yeah, the problem with Deoncé too, though, is it doesn't do a lot in return, which is one of the major issues with it. That's why it kind of needed its Mega to really get going in any offensive capacity, because it just kind of sits there half the time and gets beat down because it doesn't really do enough damage back to kind of warrant it as a great mon in general. It just kind of sits there.
Yeah. I think a really glaring issue with this team is that there's zero hazard removal. The only hazard removal is Cinderace.
Oh, it's Cinderace. Yeah, that's bad.
That's really
given
rough.
the sheer amount of hazards that this team has, it has Glamora, it has Kricketune for Sticky.
Oh wait, Glamora has removal. Glamora's removal.
Oh yeah, Mortal Spin.
Oh,
Mortal Spin is removal.
That removes. I forget that removes all the time.
I always forget that removes.
I mean, that's fair, because you're not clicking Mortal Spin to remove things in VGC. You're clicking it to poison things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm more of a VGC player than singles. I have not been a singles player in a while.
I just have no excuse. I just forgot.
I forgot that Glamora was on the team.
But yeah, even still, it's having your only removal options either switching all of the hazards you just put out onto your own side of the field, or having your only hazard removal being entirely blocked by steel types is kind of rough.
Yeah, every team is going to be bringing a steel type. If you're not, you should be bringing a steel type, or at least a Terra Steel Mon every single game.
Yeah.
It's valuable of a type, obviously. And
yeah.
I think that, plus the fact that if you bring both Glim and Cinderace to the same match, Glamora's existence alone makes Court Change a horrible option, because Glamora existing will make you end up switching Toxic Spikes to your side of the field. And the only thing they have that can remove the spikes themselves is, again, Glamora.
Or Terra Poison Metacham. And at that point, if you're Terra Poisoning your Metacham so you can remove your own Toxic Spikes off of your own field, something has gone wrong horribly before that.
Absolutely.
If you're at that point...
Off and run is a suicide lead, and because of that, I mean, Glamora's probably not sticking around very long in most matches.
Yeah, absolutely. It never lasts long in a fight. It usually it comes in, it maybe takes a hit or two, drops off some Toxic Spikes, might get a good offensive hit off because it's strong enough to do so. It might get one good hit off, and then it's probably going down. It's never sticking around for too long. It's not designed to. It's not built for that kind of matchup, and it will fulfill that role very often, and that's going to be a problem for this team when you lose that Mon and you get Hazard stacked on, and all of a sudden your only option to fix that is taking your own Toxic Spikes. Not ideal.
It also forces Cinderace to run boots if it wants to be effective hazard removal.
Yeah.
Forces most of his team to run boots, honestly. Especially, things like Vaporeon and Diancie that want to be bulky and hang around for a while, like Mudsdale, that want to be bulky and hang around for a while. If you want to try to remove hazards, but you're going to have to put toxic spikes in your field. Well, now you're making all of your bulky mons, all this extra bulk, completely useless without having to run boots, and then you're losing precious leftovers recovery, you're losing precious type berries that could be really useful in certain matchups. It creates a lot of issues in the long run.
Definitely. I think on the positive side, there's a ton of pivoting that this team has access to. Like, Vaporeon can Wish Pass very easily. That has really good synergy with Moltres because they can activate Berserk multiple times by Wish Passing to Moltres and getting its HP back.
True.
That is terrifying.
It also can help salvage a potentially atrocious attempt at an Ice Cube Belly Drum sweep by essentially negating the Belly Drum and allowing it to get out and set back up again later on. So I think Vaporeon will be a very key part of this team. And it also pairs really well with Mudsdale, because Mudsdale is, I think, like slap an Assault Vest on that, and you're going to have a really tough time breaking through.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a team that you have to be prepared to... You're either going to be playing a super long game to whittle everything down, or you have to have just the right breakers to just punch holes and not let up. Because this team's not... One way or another, you're getting in for a tough time.
Definitely. Yeah.
Indeed. Alright, so let's move on to the next team. Who wants to start us off with this one?
Pay no attention
sure won't be
to
me.
pay no attention to the bar that is edited in onto the screen underneath this next team. This next team has already played their week 1 game, and because this doc is so amazingly automated and beautiful, the record does show here, so we don't want to spoil anything for y'all. So I'm just gonna have a nice little box edited in over that section. So we're gonna do that, and it's gonna be great. And no one's gonna know anything else because I'm good at this thing. But we have Alex's team, the Greenwich Giratinas, leading off the Wellspring division. He has the Hisuian Zoroark, the Wellspring Ogerpon, Hoopa Unbound, Sylveon, as of course always, Donphan, Gallade, Talonflame, Jolteon, Earthworm, Muck, Grumpig, and Oshawott as the mascot pick. Jolteon as a Terra Captain with Electric, Ice, and Flying, and Muck as a Terra Captain with Poison, Grass, and Dark. Whew, boy, what a team. What a roster. This is looking pretty spicy.
Yeah, I'd say so.
What?
I was just saying, yeah, I'd say so.
It's a solidly spicy roster. I love Zoroark Hisui. I think it's such a great mon. I think just the amount of prep that a hidden normal and ghost type forces for a team is just absolutely absurd. It's so insane. Just how much you have to think about that constantly. It's you can never click a move safely against it because it's immune to like everything, which is insane.
That is one of my criticisms with the team, is that I don't think there's a lot that Zoroark actually has great synergy with. I mean, if it disguises itself as Earthworm, that's really good. But other than that, most of its good Pokemon to pair with are, like, Grumpig, which is, like, never probably going to come, and they're also both still weak to Dark. And then Gallade, which is, again, another thing that I think that works. But it feels a little limited in terms of what it best can do in terms of synergy. Obviously, I still think it works really well. It has a great speed tier. It can just surprise and nuke people, and I think that is incredibly powerful, like you said. So it's definitely not a bad pick, but I think there could potentially be better synergy with more Pokemon.
There's some more synergy going on here that I'm just not going to out myself on.
Fair enough.
Okay. I like the sound
but there
of
is a bit more synergy than has been noted so far. But I'm not going to out it.
I may have realized one of them.
Well, one of the things that it's no secret that Zoroark does is it does U-turn.
Yeah.
and it could very easily masquerade as a U-turning Talonflame.
That's true.
I like
It
that.
also masquerade as a hyper voicing Sylveon, at least if normal, or as long as normal and fairy aren't doing different types of effectiveness.
Yeah, and like I would assume like a spec Zoroark would probably be doing about the same kind of damage with a hyper voice to something that's also neutral to the pixelated hyper voice. So it's like a defensive Sylveon kind of set. I feel like that the damage could probably be very similar there, and so being able to hide in that kind of scenario would be very interesting. Because, yeah, I mean, people will probably still go into their steel types or their typical fairy resists on it. And, you know, if it's a steel type, they won't be any the wiser because it'll still be resisted, but then maybe they'll go into like a bulky poison type or something, and then all of a sudden, instead of taking like 15-20%, they're taking like a solid like 40 chunk, and they're like, whoa, hold on, that's not supposed to happen. I'm supposed to resist that. This is Zoroark. Oh crap, I've screwed myself here. Creates a lot of interesting scenarios, which I think I think there's a lot of fun things that can be done here with that. Speed tiers. We've talked about them for everyone else. We can't leave that out here. There's a bit of a gap.
Yeah, not that much.
Yeah,
not that bad.
I mean, there's nothing in the 90s or 100s. You go from 110 to 80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which isn't great, but that's not horrible. I mean, I think I could come up with worse balance.
Yeah, it definitely could be worse.
So, and you have a lot of really fast things, which that in and of itself is nice.
I mean, truth be told, I only have two things that would like to be faster anyway, that being Gallade and Hoopa being stuck at 80.
Yeah.
Like, everything that's below 100 besides those two doesn't really care that it's slow.
Yeah.
Very
true. It's all kind of fine with it.
But then Gallade also does get priority. Hoopa's a nuke, as long as it's not sitting in front of something physical.
As long as it's not sitting in front of something that has U-turn.
Yeah.
Or play rough.
Yeah. Specifically that U-turn. 4 times weak to U-turn is such a dagger.
I think also the speed tiers, like the amount of priority this team threatens, kind of does. Like you said, even some of the slow Pokemon have it, but some of the fast ones do too.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Talonflame is an immediate call out in terms of priority. And it also, if I'm not mistaken, is the only Pokemon in the entire game that has priority removal with Galewing's Defog.
That is very true.
Yeah, currently, now that Klefki does not have a Defog.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's really, really cool. That's definitely super useful, for sure.
Yeah.
Orthworm is also such a nuisance. Thank God we have Shed-Tail banned, because I hate facing them all with Shed-Tail.
I mean, I don't even care about Shed-Tail. I just like that Orthworm
Physical tank
is immune to Earthquake, and is fat as hell.
Oh yeah. You got a lot of mons that are super fat on either side of the spectrum. You know, Grumpig and Sylveon and Gallade all have crazy good, and Muck all have insane special defense.
Even Hoopa.
Hoopa's special defense is nuts too. I always forget about that because I try to avoid taking hits with it at all costs, but like I don't care about a special hit whatsoever. And like physically, you got Donphan and Orthworm holding it down pretty effectively. Like there's a lot of bulk on this team to bounce around through to kind of, you know, pivot through the team and get back into your big hitters pretty effectively, I think. And Jolteon as a Terra Captain is just always good. Like
absolutely.
It's easily one of the better ones in the 8-point tier to be a Terra Captain. It just is.
It's baby Regieleki.
Yeah, and it honestly, it's with access to Terra, it becomes better than Regieleki easily in terms of like draft wise. I think just because it can do the thing that Regieleki can't, and that's beat the ground types that typically shut it down.
Yeah, And being able to do that with Volt Absorb, so I obviously have Terra Flying, so very intended with Volt Absorb, but could have done the same thing with Terra Water.
Yeah, all solid options, all really really good stuff. It's a really solid team.
Yeah, no, I also really like the Terra types on Muck. I mean, Grass makes sense for resistance to ground, and I think Dark is really smart on it because it has really high special bulk and it allows you to not have to bring Hoopa if you don't want to for something that can be immune to stored power and try to stop those sweeps.
Yeah.
And to give Pokemon are special threats. I mean, Muck having really good special bulk means that it can often take on those types of threats. Like, I could see it very easily taking on a Clefable by towering, surprising it, and not allowing it to get off like a Moon Blast or anything, and then taking it down with a Gunk Shot.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's a store power set, if you predict the store power set coming, you go Terra Dark, boom, you still beat it over. If it's going to be a standard Calm Mind set with Moonblast and stuff, you Terra Poison and nuke it to death. Like, it's either option. Like, Muck is really really solid in that regard. It can provide a lot of power that is honestly slept on. I think Muck is one of the better lower tier poisons to be able to grab. I think it's so super super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And it also absorbs Toxic Spikes, grounded poison type.
That's why he's there.
Yep.
Gotta love it. Yeah. So you did a good job, Alex. You got out of retirement. You picked yourself up a pretty good team. Solid, very solid.
A warning to you coaches. I'm not going to tell you guys which one of you it is, but it will be one of you. I am going to bring Oshawott against one of you. It is going to pick up a kill against one of you, and hopefully it's the kill that ends the game. But one of you is going to lose to an Oshawott, and you're just going to have to hold that for the season.
That is one of the most terrifying things I've ever heard in my life.
I really look forward to seeing that battle, though.
That is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen at least once this season, where somebody dies to a banded Aqua Jet, or they bring something so slow that I can click a Spec Surf and kill. But it's gonna happen,
and I cannot wait to see it. But I think with that, we can move on to our next team. Greg, why don't you tell us about the Los Angeles Darkrais?
Will do. So, this team has Great Tusk, Iron Bundle, Meowscarada, Clefable, Goodra, Rotom Heat, Revavroom, Girder, Crabominable, Antler, and Ketchum.
The way you said
the questioning that came through the voice so clearly at Stantler. Just like, it's almost offended that Stantler was there.
Look, I know it's decent with Intimidate and Eviolate, but I don't really know what exactly it does aside from that. But we'll get to that.
Do we need to do more?
Well, and then for Terra Captains, Revavroom can turn into... Oh, I believe those... Oh, no, that's correct.
Yeah.
Revavroom
it's just
can
ordered
turn
weird.
Yeah, Steel, Fire, or Ground type, and Crabominable, which can Terra into Fighting, Fairy, or Dark. Okay. Stantler, man.
It's one of those things just like, man, where did that come from? You don't think about it until you see it, and then you're like, oh no, there's a Stantler there. I don't know how to feel.
At least it's not a Terra Captain.
That would be so much funnier.
Well, speaking of Terra Captains, Rennie is the fucking sole reason that I wanted Crabominable to not be 3 points.
He did insanely good with it.
He's done insanely well with it for the last few seasons that it can Terra.
Yeah, it's been consistent. This man played Scarlet and Violet. He got to the Water Gym and was like, "Huh, Terra Crabominable. This is my new personality."
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's worked out.
Fairy Crab almost beat my ass because of him.
I will say, the big key thing that stands out to me with this team is, we're going to harp on it because it's hard not to, is speed tiers.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. What a gap. Holy crap. I thought it was bad before. We are jumping from like 120, what is it, 123 for Meowscarada, down to 90 for Revavroom?
Revavroom's 90? That's faster than I thought it was.
Yeah.
That's still crazy gap.
Does have speed boost.
Yeah, he can boost his speed, but like...
No, I thought it was slower.
Oh, I also thought it was slower, but it is...
I thought you were going to be like to 87 with Great Tusk.
No, but I mean, yeah, that's next.
And
like, he's got a good
Tusk,
bundle of speed down like 90 and below. He's got like...
No.
Bundle's Rev...
Bundle's fast.
I knew one of you were going to say something. I didn't expect both of you to say it. God damn it. Yes, I recognize Bundle is fast, but he's got... English language sucks. God damn it. Why'd you have to call a Pokemon Bundle? He's got a nice little grouping, a nice little tight little group down there in the 90s area. From Revavroom down to Goodra, he's got like a nice little cluster of 5 Mons all sitting in that same general but it's just that huge gap between Meowscarada and Rev that's like super rough.
Yeah, but then those speed tiers shit the bed again once you get down to Girder, Crabominable, Hatchram.
Yeah, he jumps from 123 to 90 and then jumps from 80 down to 60 down to dirt.
Yeah. Also, like, Great Tusk is really good removal. I'm not a huge fan of the only other removal being Girder.
Nor am I. I mean...
Defog Girder, man, still doesn't make an ounce of sense.
Like, Girder would be better removal for this team if Girder was a Terra Captain.
I absolutely agree with that. I think that Girder should be a Terra Captain on this team. Or at least, like...
Maybe instead of Revavroom.
Yeah, I mean, I also don't get why Revavroom doesn't have flying as a Terra-type option. Like, one of its Terra-type... Obviously, it's forced to keep...
Oh yeah, all of its... Well, no, not all of its Terra-types are weak to
Fire is still weak to ground. Ground is neutral to itself, but that doesn't, like... It's not counteracting its main weakness in any way. So it's gonna get still smashed by every single ground type hitting. And they don't have to care about it potentially Terra Flying, or even Terra Grass, or another type that resists.
That's true. That's definitely very true.
Yeah, I mean, alternatively, Stantler would have been a good Terra Captain because of Intimidate Eviolite.
I don't believe those words ever came out of our mouths. That's something that was actually said on a video. It's now out there forever.
Can we kick him for that?
Stantler would be good.
Hey,
there's nothing we can do. It's too late. I'm not editing it out.
I already said that I was gonna beat someone using Oshawott this season.
That's true. We've already gone off the rails. It's too late.
There's
really
no
saving
is
us at this point.
Yeah, no, we're too far gone.
Oh my god. Yeah.
But I will also say, I think this team, like, it has 3 Eviolite users. It's very weak to knockoff.
That is huge, yeah.
I mean, it's somewhat mitigated because he has Tusk, Meow, and Clef all, like, resisting knockoff.
Yes, but at the same time, like, Meow doesn't want to get knocked because, you know, it's probably carrying some kind of damage boosting item that's probably needed for a lot of key KOs. Tusk doesn't want to get knocked off because it's probably either running, like, lefties, which is super important for it, or it's running boots, so it can be a solid remover.
Yeah.
And, like, Clef doesn't want to lose its leftovers. Goodra doesn't want to lose its assault vest, so it's not wanting to get knocked off. You know, like, a lot of the Mons that might be bulkier and be able to take those knockoffs are not going to be happy about it.
Yeah.
So it creates a kind of like a decent enough issue that, like, any switch he has to make to try to dodge a knockoff is no free switch at all.
I suppose that's true.
But
yeah, it's also worth noting that knockoff got very wide distribution now with the
it
DLC.
really did. It really did. It's kind of sickening. Looking into it more, I was like, everything, just everything.
Yeah.
They took it away from everything and then decided, regret. Give it to everything and more. Just no logic in that one. But that's okay. We'll all be fine, I'm sure.
Well, except for anyone who has to face against the Milotic, but y'all have fun with that.
It's
No, Jeff. Well, Jeff is the one that has it. I have to deal with this.
Oh. I spoke too soon.
That's a good segue though. Jeff with the Rage Fist Annihilapes he's stolen Fernape from me because he could not wait an hour and a half for me to wake up from work that morning. Monkey Dory, Milotic, Crocodile, Snorlax, Noivern, Serena, Magneton, Oricorio, Ghost, Darkspun, Cloth, and Mischievous, with Magneton being Terra, Steel flying Grass, and Oricorio being Terra, Ghost, Dark, and Ground. Jeff, you two are also weak to knockoff.
I do see this. I do see that fact. I recognize the issue.
Also, we want to talk about how you drafted Cloth.
No, we don't have to talk about it at all. We don't have to talk
you about
that whatsoever. We don't have to talk about it. I think the reasoning for drafting Cloth is I was going through my team at that point in the draft, and I needed something that resisted something that Cloth resists at that point.
He resists fire, and that's it?
I think that might have been it. It was either
but
fire
you
or
have
something else.
Infernape, Milotic, Snorlax has thick fat.
Yeah, but it was getting on. I was.
Darkspun has an immunity.
I was getting unbalanced to it. I needed. I don't know if it was fire. It was something else. I don't remember.
Well,
exactly
I'm pretty sure Rock only resists. Well, what else does Rock resist?
I
think it was flying. I think it was flying
and poison. But you're already fine against all those other types.
Yeah, so I feel like, I mean, honestly, if it was me, I'd rather just have the 4 points to use and not have them on.
I mean, yeah, it's something I could potentially look at fixing later, but I don't know. It kind of just like I was in the moment and I was looking, a rock type would be kind of good for my team. Could use a little bit of that offense. Oh, Cloth is there. It has Regenerator. That could be fun. So, let's see what happens. We'll pick up Cloth, toy with it for a couple weeks, and see what happens.
It does also have the Shell Smash ability.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not good.
If only it had actual Shell Smash on top of it.
Unfortunate.
That's okay. In 5 generations, they'll give Cloth Shell Smash, just like they gave Torterra Shell Smash.
You mean when I'm fucking 50?
Yes. They'll give Cloth Shell Smash when we're 50.
That'll be the same generation when Lando falls to NU.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Because there's going to be Pokemon with 900 base stat totals that are getting released that are running all of Ubers, and OU is filled with things like Kyogre and Groudon and Mewtwo and everything.
I'm terrified of the day that box legendaries get regularly dropped into OU. Yes, I know Zama's there, but we can ignore it because it's Garbo.
Yeah.
It's Zama. He's not Garbo. He's a good boy.
It's a box legendary on the same level as like Suicune being technically considered a box legendary.
He's not a box legend. Get out of here.
He's on top. He's on the box of Crystal, technically.
That means that our Pikachu and Eevee now box legends also because they're on the box.
Hey, those specific versions are because
they have
boosted stats. They have boosted stats,
true.
And their moves are good.
Shout out to Sappy Seed, which sets Leech Seed on a hit.
Garbage.
I didn't know that.
It's the worst. It's the most terrible.
I don't think I ever clicked that move once.
Bouncy Bubble, a water type move that heals you.
Yeah, or Sparkly Swirl, which is the fairy type move, and that just immediately, it's essentially damaging aromatherapy.
Yeah, that was stupid. That was really dumb. That was
great.
I loved playing through Let's Go Eevee because I had just the Swiss Army knife Pokemon and Eevee
it was great.
Running through every team because I could.
Oh, and we can't forget the most well-named move in all of Pokemon history, Batty Bad.
Oh, Batty Bad. Damaging.
I blocked that out of my head.
Was that the one that set up Reflect, or was that the one that set up Light Screen?
I don't remember.
Probably Reflect, because it was dark.
And the Psychic one was Light Screen.
That makes sense. That was that was such a fun time Just saying it in my head, playing the game, I was just like, this is a move that was coded into a Pokemon game. They made this decision. They looked at it and they were like, this is perfectly acceptable. There's no problem with this. And I love it. Love it to death. It was great. I need to replay that game soon.
No, you
Been a
don't.
while.
Yeah, I think you're fine.
Anyway, how are the speed tiers? Because I really, obviously, I know Infernape is fast. I know Noivern is fast.
I mean, my speed tiers
I don't know how
Perfect.
how fast or slow Monkey Dory is. Like Spanky
Monkey
D
Dory's-
Monkey over here.
It's
106.
So the monkeys
Alright,
are...
so it's around Infernape speed.
Yeah.
It's not perfect. It's 121 for Noivern, 108 with Infernape, 106 Monkey Dory, and then we're jumping down to Crook.
With 80.
No, he's at
Just
90, 93.
No, you jumped down to Doxfun first at 95.
Oh, yeah, 95. I forget Doxbun's fast.
It's actually
Yeah.
fast, yeah.
Yeah. 95 with Doxbun, 93 with Crook.
And then
We
after
have
that,
Oricorio is like 92.
but then you jump all the way down to where Serena is.
No, Mischievous.
Or is it Milo?
I got Mischievous at 85.
Yeah, I think the issue with the speed tiers are, like, I say there's not much between, like, the higher speed tiers are the issue.
I
Yeah.
actually do
Nothing-
agree. Like, with Infernape being your fastest thing, but that isn't, Noivern is not good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's not a great team.
How much speed boosting even is there on this team in general? I mean, obviously Scarf, but...
And Serena has Rapid Spin.
Yeah. Quiver Dance, Oricorio.
Doesn't Infernape
forgot
get
about that
agility?
one.
I think so.
I assume multiple things here probably get agility.
And I'm sure...
But I mean,
have
how often
enough-
are you going to bring agility?
I'm sure there's some things that also have Trailblaze that I haven't looked into yet.
Yeah, well, everything is Trailblaze, so...
That's a fair point. I love Trailblaze. Such a fun move.
Yeah, well, it's a really good ad in this generation.
Right? And then, like, just the wide distribution was just like, thank you, appreciate it, thanks, guys.
Oh, yeah.
More of this, please. Just casual, random type move that boosts a random stat. Just distribute it to everything because fuck you, that's why.
Yeah, they won't.
We need more of, like, the really low base power, fun little move that just can go to everything, so things have better coverage, even if the coverage is complete ass.
Yeah, just for the fun of it. Just for the fun of it.
Exactly.
You know, before we move on to the next team, I just realized we went basically half this whole video when we haven't actually rated the teams.
No, that's fine. Let's
You
do
don't
quick.
have to.
Let's do quick.
We usually do, that's why I'm saying that.
Ayrshire Scythers. I would probably put this where we're going to do regular grades, or are we going to do it like out of 10? What do we want to do?
I think grade makes more sense.
I like that.
Would actually, you know what? Maybe it would be better for us to go through all the teams and then grade it, so that we can have an idea of what everything looks like.
That's fair.
I think that way, like, because some grades change when you go later.
Then we shall continue onward.
Oh no, I still have more criticisms for your team first.
Oh, lovely. Rip it apart, please. Go ahead. I'm all
Yeah,
for it.
no. The only hazard you have are Stealth Rock, which, like, obviously that's probably the best hazard, aside from, like, webs, but there's no good web setters except for Bobby.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that you do have a bit of an issue there. It's not as threatening. Your team also doesn't have that great of, like, physical bulk. You have Snorlax, obviously, but that's mainly because of its HP stat. But even besides that,
Milotic is good.
and Cloth. Milo's good, but it technically has... If you go by pure stats, it has worse physical bulk than Crocodile.
That's true.
Oh no. And Crook also has Intimidate.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not perfect. It's definitely not perfect. I definitely, like... I was very flustered a lot during the draft, so I definitely wasn't, like, fully, like, on top of things as much as possible. Plus, with me being so adamant about getting Monkey Dory first, because I just want to use it. Definitely probably threw things off a little bit. Definitely not like what I would normally pick round 1. But I was not taking the chance of
preach with me I did the same thing with Zoroark because I just didn't know what to take.
Yeah. So, like, team could definitely be better, but at the same time, you know, I'm always one to kind of draft something a little off the wall and kind of try to make it work, and if it's not working, I'll, you know, make some tweaks if I need to. But
yeah, no,
I think some of the mods I picked up are a decent amount of fun, and I haven't used them yet this generation, so yeah, it'd be fine to test a few things out. I mean, plus, if I get at least one good Oricorio sweep off this season, I'm happy.
Yeah. I do also think, like, one of the probably less talked about benefits of Monkey Dory is that it gets Parting Shot, which means it is one of the fastest Parting Shot users aside from priority users, which all the users have Prankster, which means they can't use it against Dark types. But nothing can actually block your Parting Shot, I believe. Well, or I guess a Magic Bouncer, which would make them switch out instead, but...
Magic Bouncer or a Soundproofer, and at that point, like, that's such a limited pool of mons, and, like, say, like, look at Magic Bouncers in general, like, the only real Magic Bouncers that come up in my head are, like, Espeon and, like, Hatterene, which... Espeon's not the bulkiest. It doesn't really want to come in on me if it doesn't have to. And Hatterene definitely doesn't want to come in on me, because if I click Sludge Wave, it disappears.
There's also Xatu.
Oh, yeah. How could I forget about Xatu? It's disrespectful for me. Of course. Truly disrespectful, beyond words. Yeah, Monkey Dory is going to be a lot of fun. I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hopefully not forget to do it, but I'm gonna try to keep a running tally of how many times Toxic Chain pops during the course of the season. How many things I toxic with random moves that should not poison things. That's gonna be that's like one of the main things I want to do with it. Just see how many things I can toxic and see how toxic I can truly be. Monkey Dory is my spirit animal.
All right. Well, let's see. Hopefully, this is the reason why you were not focused on your draft. The Weeping Will-O-Wisps with Chi-Yu, Rotom Wash, Iron Leaves, Weezing Galar, Regidrago, Primate, Copperajah, Maushold, Drifblim, Sandaconda, Cryogonal with Drifblim having Terra, Ghost, Dark Fighting, Cryo having Terra, Ice, Water, Electric. Please tell me this is the reason why your team sucks.
You didn't have to say it sucked. That's a little rude. But I will admit, a lot more of my focus was towards helping her draft than it was towards my own. Most of the thought processes, most of the time my brain was spent thinking of draft picks was looking at her draft and thinking about what would help her best. So, yeah, it's definitely a good reason why. The way that this team looks is... I basically drafted twice, and I drafted one team that was better than the other.
All right, now let's look at this. I mean, Drifblim as a Terra Captain is obviously very scary.
I may have team. I think it's great.
Yeah. I mean, it is good. I mean, Cryo is very underrated. I think especially Terra Water Cryogonal with its special bulk. I think that's really good Terra Captain.
Yeah. Plus, it gets Rapid Spin. So it works as removal. And, I mean, obviously, because you can make yourself no longer an Ice type, but still reap the benefits of Ice type stab. Like, that's actually it's a fast Ice type.
Yeah,
speed tiers I don't love. I don't love Maushold being the fastest thing. Unless Iron Leaves is really fast. I don't know anything about Iron Leaves.
Leaves is one of 4.
Slower.
Okay, so Maushold being the fastest thing I don't love. And I don't love there only being 2 things that are over base 100.
There's 3, yeah.
Maushold and Iron Leaves.
And Cryogonal.
Oh yeah, I forget about Cryo because it's so low. Yeah, I don't. I don't love there only being 3 things, but also it's a similar speed tier issue that we talked about with Jeff's team. where there's nothing really over like. Well, I don't remember Mouseholds, but like, there's not a big threat that's fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Mousehold
Chi-Yu being
111.
100 is bad.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably gonna be a lot of Scarfers that are brought from this team. Like, I could easily see him at being like 2 Scarfers, if not 3.
Oh, this is going to be a team that definitely is going to need to rely on bringing double Scarf.
Yeah, I mean, the issue with speed is also compounded by the fact that there is no sticky web user.
Yeah. I mean, it's helped a little bit by Drift Blim since it does have
Unburden.
Yeah. Unburden, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking speed boost, but it's obviously not speed boost, and I just kept going back to acrobatics. But yeah, like that having Unburden helps a little bit, but like Regidrago is really slow for a dragon. Wheezing Galar, it's still wheezing. Primeape is still slow. Kaparaja might as well be like not moving.
More or less, yeah.
I do think there's also a potential issue with the only Mon that can absorb toxic spikes on entry is Wheezing, which it probably wants to run Levitate most of the time. So, I mean, the team does have good removal overall, though.
Yeah, like you have Drift Blim, you have Cryo, you have Mousehold, you have. Does Wheezing still have Defog?
Yes, it does.
So yeah, there's like 4 things that remove hazards on this team.
Honestly, tidying up Mousehold is probably going to be a major threat on this team. That's probably going to be the fast threat.
Mousehold is a threat.
Oh yeah.
If you encounter something that, if you encounter a team, for like, if you encounter a team that like, we'll use mine as an example, where like, once you get rid of Orthworm, there isn't much that handles Technician boosted Population Bomb and Bite.
Yeah.
Like
exactly. It's
Mousehold goes in.
Yeah.
And people forget that.
This team
and people always forget that and ignore it. That Mousehold's a threat.
Oh yeah,
this
absolutely.
Really, it also has really great options to take care of the steel types and rock types that Mousehold will hate going up against.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it has EU, it has Primeape,
it has Rotom.
Yeah,
Iron Leaves, like we already said.
Drift Blim as well too is an option.
Yeah, pretty much everything on this team hits, except for Mousehold, has like super effective stab against rock and steel, or one or the other, except for like Wheezing, which gets
Flamethrower
types, but that's fine.
And also has Flamethrower, so you can catch them on switch in too.
That's true.
And like they gave Regidrago or access to Earthquake / Earth Power this generation too, so like pretty much everything can probably bully away the steel types at some point or another.
Yeah, I do also think that like because of how good this team is against steel types, I mean it's not as good against Fairy, but still pretty good against them. That can open up the door a lot for a Dragon Energy Scarf Regidrago sweep.
Oh yeah.
Especially because it also has really good removal options.
It's not perfect, but I'm definitely proud of this team. Like definitely proud of this team.
You got to be proud of one of them.
Listen, I had to get one right. If I drafted 2 bad teams, then that's a problem.
Then at that point, you're not just sleeping on the couch. You're outside in the doghouse.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to the Hearthflame division?
Oh, yes.
Shall.
Another one where you got to ignore the bar.
Ignore the bar.
Ignore the bar.
The bar is not there. We pretend the bar doesn't exist. There is no bar. What is a bar? Never seen it before.
There is no bar in Ba Sing Se.
Perfect. I love the reference. Is perfect. Peak, legendary. But we have the Bridgeport Baxcaliburs up next. Deshaun also coming out of retirement. This season drug everyone back. And no one's allowed to leave the NPBF. It's against the rules apparently.
Damn.
You're not allowed to leave for long.
I
But
don't remember signing that contract, but
no, you're stuck in. You're
I
stuck here
guess.
for life. You're stuck here for life. You don't get to leave. It's against
Well-
the rules. Sorry.
I'll do my best to enjoy it.
You will, I'm sure. It'll be a good time. Deshaun picked up the mascot pick of Baxcalibur. He's got the Lando tee. He's got the Alolan Ninetales, the Hearthflame Ogerpon. Wild that actually ended up in the appropriate division. I think that's really funny.
Mine did
So
too.
did Wellspring.
We got two of them landed in their appropriate division. That's really funny. Cece's
Yeah.
the outlier. She will.
I know,
we gotta kick her out.
and Ken, because he is teal in Cornerstone.
Oh, lame.
We just got to get them to trade.
Yeah, we got.
Yeah, then we'll at least have 3 in the right division.
That'll work. But we got the Hearthflame Ogerpon, we got Garganachi, we got Slowking, we got Mabostiff, Electrode, Golduck, Ariados, and Slacking, with the Terra Captains being Mabostiff with Dark, Psychic, and Normal, and Golduck being Terra Captain with Water, Fighting, and Ground. This team is the definition of top heavy looking. Holy crap.
But it's in the hands of the coach that you also know will use and experiment with all the lower level stuff.
Oh, 100%, absolutely. But the team itself on paper, we got to look at it as a whole. Coach removed at least to an extent. That's a top heavy team. That top 6 is terrifying. But like,
it is, but Mabostiff is still really good.
Yeah.
Electrode, remember, super duper fast. Ariados does set webs.
That is probably one of the most terrifying things on this team, honestly.
And Slacking is still a motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
That one turn being nuke.
Yeah, like you slap a choice band on it, and unless you're clicking Giga Impact, you just switch it out so that Truant doesn't activate.
Yeah. It's terrifying. It's really, really strong. And like the webs are the big thing here, because like without the webs, this team is still terrifying. Like Hearthflame Ogerpon is punching holes through things left and right. Garganical is stalling out anything at once. The snow is constantly staying up for Baxcalibur to just kind of sit in there, set up for free, rip holes through teams like it's nothing. Just absolutely beating down the team. But now, like, he can easily run adamant backs and not bat an eye at it.
You say that, but he does that anyway.
That's true. That's true.
He doesn't give a shit.
He just wants to punch the holes. He's like, I don't care if I outspeed you.
There is
kill you.
more so there is one actual issue though that's way more glaring than the top heavy bit.
Yeah.
And it's just that he doesn't have removal.
Ooh.
That also compounds with the fact that there are 0 rock resists and 4 Pokemon that are weak to it.
Ooh.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
That's a yikes. That's a big old yikes. Give me something with Meteor Beam and Power Gem and call it a day.
Well, Meteor.
Yeah, no, Glamora goes in on this team.
Glamora clicks Power Gem, and that's it.
And it gets up Toxic Spikes while it does it.
But it doesn't really matter though, because like he's just gonna nuke people with Landorus and Baxcalibur because he has the fucking Snow Core.
I mean, that's true.
That's always going to be it.
Between Ninetales and Slowking, there's always going to be snow up.
He's going to always have opportunities to just pop up Aurora Veils. He might not even need Ninetales to set the snow. He can Chilling Reception with like an Icy Rock Slowking into Ninetales with the Light Clay, and then he has the most maximum situation of snow plus screen turns that you possibly could ever imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, he has a really good combo of both really fast and really slow pivoting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like Reception and Volt Switch on Electrode.
Yeah.
Reception obviously be Slowking.
The Terra decisions are pretty interesting. I think I'm kind of kind of a fan of some and not a fan of the other.
I have a
aspects of
feeling
it.
he's going to drop Gold and Golduck and go Slacking instead.
Mabostiff, Dark and Psychic I both kind of like. Kind of helps with... Although I think I would have gone personally Fairy over Psychic, because I recognize the Psychics for the fighting weakness and whatnot.
Yeah, well, and a bulkier Fairy would have been good for his team.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it gets Play Rough.
Yeah, and Play Rough is one of it.
100% sold on the Terra Normal on it.
I don't know.
Well, I think he's still playing around. He's probably still playing around with the way that we do Terra, being the alt so low tier.
I suppose.
I'm trying to figure it out, but I have a feeling that Golduck will probably end up getting dropped in favor of like a Slacking, just for Terra Normal, big hit choice band moves.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense.
I think, and I'm like 90% sure that's something he actually is going to change. Just because like that alone is just something that makes this team even all the scarier.
Yeah, because Golduck I don't really see as like a threatening mon. Like that's never something that when I'm prepping I'm going to look at Golduck and be like, man, I really got to dedicate an answer to this. I don't really know what I'm going to do about that. It's like I'll tech a super effective move onto something, and only because it also hits Slowking. Or like something like that. Like I'll have something with Freeze Dry in the future. Or like I would have someone with Freeze Dry so I can hit that thing plus Slowking and other mons. Like I'm not going to ever think of Golduck as like, oh, that's a problem. The only time it's ever been a problem is when we did doubles and it shut down all the weather cores, which was fun to do to people.
Yeah, though it's probably not going to be running Cloud9 ever on this team.
Yeah, you never want to see that.
Yeah, like that, and then also that kind of means it's either running Damp, which no, it's not, which means it's Swift Swim, which it feels like it's on the wrong team for that.
Yeah,
I'm surprised that a low tier Slush Rusher wasn't picked up instead. I think
they might
better Terror Captain, frankly.
Yeah, low tier Slush Rusher would be huge for this team. Something else that can benefit from the snow.
Exactly. I'm not mistaken, I think Glaceon is this low now. Probably still able to be picked up.
Oh yeah, I think it might be. I don't see it anywhere on any of the teams. So it'd be an interesting one to scoop up.
Yeah. Oh no, wait, no, never mind. Glaceon doesn't get Slush Rush. I believe that's red.
No, it's a Radical Red thing. Yeah.
Damn it, yeah. I get mixed up because Leafeon gets Chlorophyll.
Radical Red, you spoil us too much.
Truly
the greatest Pokemon experience of all time.
Yeah.
Let's not wax poetic on that. Bottom line, the team is scary, but there are ways that it can be proved to be even scarier.
Yeah.
But this sort of team is in the hands of the right coach to pivot it well.
Yeah, that's the big thing for sure. Is like on paper, it definitely has a lot of its issues, but knowing the coach that is piloting it, I have faith that this team is going to be a prominent threat for sure.
Next up, we have the Denver Dondozos, which is probably the worst matchup for the Excaliburs.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oh my lord, yes. Oh Jesus Christ, yes. I think it's your turn, Greg.
All right.
Dive on in.
They picked up Golden Go, Iron Moth, Gliscor, Espathra, Politoed, Overquill, Wo-Chien, Tinkaton, and Hisuian Decidueye and Hisuian Avalugg, with the Terra Captains being Tinkaton with Steel, Water, and Fighting, and then Hisuian Avalugg with Ice, Flying, and Fighting. I think this team is really scary.
Yes.
There's a lot of major threats. I mean, something that obviously sticks out is Politoed plus Swift Swim Overquill.
Oh, fuck.
That is my favorite thing about this team, is this the simple fact that, like, being able to have a Swift Swimmer that doesn't double up your water typing unnecessarily means that there's going to be a lot of scenarios where like Overquoll can probably just come in on something that Politoed's staring down, and especially like it's a Swift Swimmer that's not bothered by grass types, so it pairs beautifully with Politoed. They can go in and out with each other without any real issues, without any real threats, and Overquoll can continue to apply constant offensive pressure, which is terrifying.
Plus the fact that the rain can get rid of the fire weaknesses of Golden Go, Wo-Chien, and
Tinkercon and Decidueye, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it does enhance the water weakness for Avalugg, Pre-Terra, and for Iron Moth, and for Gliscor, though.
That's true, but I feel
Which is fine.
It's worth it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Especially when, like, you still have things like Wo-Chien that kind of still cover for that water weakness pretty effectively without any real issues. Like, all of the defensive aspects of this team protect his offensive options perfectly. Like, he doesn't have to worry about ground moves against Golden Go or Iron Moth because Gliscor and Wo-Chien just say no. And, like, any type of, like, fire coverage, he's got Politoed to weaken that. Any type of water coverage, Wo-Chien just chills. Like, it's beautiful. It's covered amazingly. I'm terrified.
It really is.
I hope I don't face it.
I do.
His speed tiers are not good though. Besides Moth
that's what I was gonna
and
say.
Bathra.
Yeah, Moth at 110 is the fastest, and because Booster is banned, that means it can't get a speed boost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Espathra itself does have speed boost, and then Overquill has Swift Swim, which we already discussed. So there are decent speed tiers. It's just they're ability reliant, which means it's easy to shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because other than that, I mean, there's good speed tiers that are covered from the range of speed, like from the slowest member of the team, and well, ignoring Avalugg, from like Decidueye up through Moth. Everything I think is covered really well. It's just that there's a lot of threats that are faster than 110 naturally, like a ton.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of major threats. They're going to apply a lot of pressure against this team for sure. But, like, it's one of those teams that's, like, it doesn't have the speed, but it has the bulk to kind of deal with a lot of those incoming threats, I think. That's, like, a big standout thing for this team is just how well its bulk does protect it from those threats. I think that's going to be a key factor as to how he plays this team. It's just going to be a lot of his bulk coming in and just sponging hits and living forever, and then being able to pretty effectively like bring in all of his offensive monsters to, you know, beat back against anything coming his way. It's going to be very interesting to see this team in action. It's got a lot of potential.
That's your week one.
It's definitely going to have a really, really interesting play style, especially because of the fact, like, it covers a lot of its weaknesses really well. Like, Gliscor and Wo-Chien are amazing defensive core. I mean, the only issue is, obviously, ice types. But, like, the fact that they alone kind of make the 5 ground weaknesses on this team not even... is kind of crazy. Just because they're, like, some of the best counters that you can get to ground types. Except for, like, I mean, Mamoswine, but that's one Pokemon.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like, Mamoswine is one of those mons you just kind of accept that is going to probably nuke most of your team because that combination of types is impossible to resist with one mon.
Yeah.
There's no mon that resists both. It's impossible. I'm pretty sure.
Earthburn.
Oh, okay. Well, technically, yeah. You have to have a specific ability to kind of do it. Like, no mon by typing alone can resist both. Is a better way to word that. Without some kind of extra extra nonsense tacked on, it just kind of clicks either of its stabs, and it's probably going to chunk whatever's coming in.
Rude.
Always.
All right, let's get to the Shelly Brooms. Unlike Anders, they used pick number 2 correct way. They drafted Iron Valiant round 1 as the second overall, and then decided to also go top heavy with Roaring Moon, Skeledirge, Cleavor, Dugtrio, Blissey, Slowbro Galar, Alamola, Altaria, Sawsbuck, and good old Mega Rayquaza, with Altaria and Sawsbuck being Terra Captains, having Dragon, Fairy, Steel, and normal, Ghost, Electric, respectively.
I will say, for a top-heavy team, he budgeted his second half of his budget very well to kind of balance it out a little bit and spread it out a little bit further to kind of use that latter half of the budget to really balance out his bulk.
Yeah, he did.
Honestly, I feel like the only real, bad picks, if you will, are his Terra Captains, which kind of feels bad to say, but, everything else I see a very good, clear use for.
He has a history using Altaria and using it well.
I'd
Okay.
love to know how he uses it, because Altaria is one of my favorite Pokemon. I would really love to actually be able to use it to some success.
He has had success using it for Perish Trapping.
Interesting.
Okay. I like
With,
that.
Fire Spin, Perish Song. I actually stole that strat from him in Season 17. Worked out pretty well.
That's fun.
His
for trapping, which is going to be a huge issue.
Yeah, his Altaria actually does make sense for him. I think Altaria is a good thing because Altaria is also one of his defoggers, so being able to remove the flying typing actually is smart on Altaria. As for Sawsbuck, I actually do think Sawsbuck is a good Terra Captain. And while, he did do the smart thing of going Ghost to get rid of the fighting weakness, I actually think Terra Fighting would have been pretty sick on this. But he doesn't have an Electric type, so that's why he went Terra Electric.
Yeah, I will say he kind of was forced into going Electric or something along those lines, because there are 0 flying resists on this team.
Altaria plus Dugtrio equals a bad time. Altaria plus Dugtrio equals a
Oh,
really bad time.
that's what he's going for. Oh, yeah, because Arena Trap is not banned.
Yep, so you can Perish Song and then switch into Arena Trap.
That's gross. I hate it.
Thankfully, Altaria doesn't have a pivot move, though, so it has to hard switch.
Thank God. So poor Dugtrio has to take a hit, which doesn't happen. But literally, the hard switch in, Dugtrio's sashed, potentially, lives on 1, clicks Protect. Pokemon dies.
I might have liked seeing Alamola be a Terra Captain.
Dugtrio goes back to full, repeat.
Aloe as a solo Terra Captain isn't awful, but I don't think we can do solo captains in this format, can we?
Well, Alamola and Altaria would have been 12 points.
True, actually.
I think...
Very Terra Captain, I think.
I actually almost... When I was figuring out my draft, I actually did... Before picking up Muck, I almost only just made Jolteon my only Terra Captain.
Yeah, you could if you want to. Realistically, you could. No rule that says you don't. You can't. You just can have up to 2. You could realistically, be like, I don't want to use my other points. I could save them, potentially add something later if I so choose, kind of situation. It's an option. Maybe some teams should utilize that. Maybe teams shouldn't.
So we got to talk about speed tiers.
Of course.
They're not great, besides Valiant and Moon and Dougie.
Yeah, he's got that little cluster up top right around that section, and then it drops down to Sawsbuck.
Which is, what, 90?
95?
Yeah, it's 95.
And then Altaria is 80.
Cleaver's 85.
Skeletor just slow.
60.
Blissey is slow. Slowbro is obviously slow. Alamola is slow.
55 Blissey, 60 Alamola, 30
It's
for
a
Slowbro.
weird... It's a very weird split. I mean, obviously 116 jumping down to 95 is not great, but at least the fast things on the team are actually really fast.
Yes.
Like Valiant...
Yeah, that has been my big criticism.
Yeah. Valiant Moon Dug Trio are all perfect. Like, those are great to have. And something like Dirge doesn't really care that it's slow. Something like Aloe probably actually actively prefers to be slow for slower wish paths.
Yeah. Yeah, it wants to be able to click Wish, it wants to be able to click Flip Turn.
Yep.
And bounce out, get its regen, and pass that Wish off safely to something like a Dug Trio that might have been Sash that got popped or something earlier in the game to kind of retrap something later on. Or, like, bounce back into Cleaver to reset rocks if they got cleared or something like that.
Something interesting to note is that there's not any spinner on the team. The only removal is Defog, which is obviously fine. I mean, the only actual rock setter, like, the only hazard setters are rockers anyways.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's just...
It's not.
I don't know. I think
it's not that bad.
This team is just more concerned with, having the big offensive presence. It's like,
yeah,
this team's games are going to be done quickly, and I think that's by design.
Yeah, I think that's. I agree. I think that's going to be the main focus of this team is just to kind of pivot in and out, keep up pressure, and punch holes constantly through the opposing team.
Yeah,
and never let your team get weakened, which with Alamola and Slowbro, like, those are two mons that aren't going to die very easily, and Blissey is never going to die if he plays it right, so, like, it's going to be interesting to see this team in action. I think it has a nice balance between its bulk and offense that I can see it being a really, really big threat.
Definitely.
All right, and for those of you wondering why we haven't addressed the large Dragon Ball Z dragon in the room, the Mega Rayquaza was a joke thing that was left on the dock in the 1 point tier because we thought it'd be funny and to see if people are actually paying attention, if they would notice it, or if they would pick it. Picking it literally does nothing. Because while Rayquaza is in the game, Mega Rayquaza is not usable because there are no Megas, so it's literally like a dead pick on the team anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So we just thought it'd be a bit of fun to leave it on there and see if anyone scooped it up. And
I mean, if he didn't, I was gonna.
Yeah, it was on my radar as well. Like, I was definitely planning on it for sure. So someone was going to pick it up. It was just for the memes. I'm glad that it wasn't just an admin who knew that it was there.
It also is technically illegal Terra Captain.
I was considering doing that. I was considering it.
Yeah, it's not banned from being a Terra Captain, which, I mean, good luck bringing it to a game, and also good luck bringing it to a Smogon format where you can actually Terra Mega. But, you know.
Just break all the rules. It's fine.
Exactly. Well, I mean, Mega Ray does that by design. So.
That's also fair. It just says, oh, all your predetermined rules about how things are supposed to function, I'm going to ignore everything. None of it matters to me. I am your god now. Bow down.
Yeah, Arceus no longer having the high space out total is sad for me.
Depression.
Meh. Mega Mewtwo took that role from it anyway.
I mean, yeah. And then also,
Mega Ray just did it better.
I believe is above it. And then obviously Turnamax and Turnitus, but that's not actually accessible by players, except in like Mons. So that only half counts.
Yeah.
So what do we think about the Vrooms in general, though? Good, bad, somewhere in the middle?
I think it's a really, really solid team. I think it applies a lot of constant pressure. I think that there's a lot of aspects of it that force specific kinds of prep to, further limit his opponents in the future. And, trying to switch into a lot of these mons is very difficult for a lot of teams. So I think this team is going to be a huge threat. Plus, I just want to see Altaria do something.
It will.
I think
It did for Devin every other season he drafted it.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Good team.
All right.
Good team, Devin. Well done.
All right.
I'm sure you will appreciate that. I
Oh yeah, he will.
you. He's probably going to have he's going to have like a fangirl moment. He's like, "Oh my god, he said it was a good team. Hefe said it was a good team. I'm so proud."
All right, let's move on to the last coach of this division before we move on to the final division.
Last coach of this division is Cece, the resident youth of the group, and her soul-slashing Sylvalis.
You mean the hash-slinging slashers?
Listen, stop it.
Look.
No.
We're ignoring it. We're pretending it doesn't exist.
We're not, because Greg nearly wrote that out a few times when he was making this doc without being in on the joke.
As an anti-sponger. As an anti-sponger.
I don't give a shit about I don't give a shit about SpongeBob. I give a shit about crapping well-deserved shitting on shitty team names.
It is... Yeah, the hash-slinging slashers is kind of funny, actually. That is kind of funny.
It'd also be a fun team name.
It would.
It would be.
It would. But we have the hash-slinging sand slashers.
Or Aegis slashers, yeah.
Yeah.
But sand slashers is
no,
better.
we don't want Aegis slashers anymore.
I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
We're leaving the Aegis slashers in the dust.
Yeah, I kind of wiped that team name from my
in the trash
memory.
can where they belong as human being. Anyways,
Cece's
Cece's got
works as is. Slash is in fact a move.
Oh, that's true.
Also true. Make the mascot like something obscure like Zangoose.
Yeah.
Great minds think alike.
Gen 1 crit / reference.
Yes. Oh my god. Just have like a text box that says it's a crit underneath it.
Exactly.
That's genius. It's time. I might have to rebrand eventually. No, Shiny would kill me.
Not this season.
Not this season. Next season. There's been enough name changes already.
Yeah, there have been.
But Cece has the Hydreigon, the Mamoswine, the Cornerstone Ogerpon, Mienshao, Enamorous Therian, Cresselia Chandelure, the Magnezone, Furret, Basculin, and Spitops, with her Terra captains being Furret with normal, ghost, and fighting, and Basculin with the water, dragon, and grass. Cece, I hate you for taking the little pool noodle. That is all.
Also, CZ, your speed tiers are horrible.
I mean, she definitely could use some more speed.
Ogerpon being her fastest thing is bad. Mienshao being the only other thing she has over base 100 speed is bad. Her heaviest hitter being base 98. On that is infamous for being a choice scarf.
Her heaviest hitter is 110. What do you mean?
Oh, fuck off! It's Hydreigon. She has the worst. She has the worst Ogerpon.
Listen. That's also debatable.
We tiered it the lowest.
Listen. I wouldn't say it's better than the other. I'd say it's probably equal.
Regardless, Hydreigon is a mon that is infamous for relying on scarfing. As is Mamo.
And Mienshao.
Yeah, and Mienshao.
And Chandelure.
So, you know how we were saying...
And Magnezone to some extent.
You know how we were saying the Weeping Will-O-Wisp?
Is often going to carry one.
So yeah. Weeping Will-O-Wisps was like a team that we said is going to probably have 2 or 3 Scarfers in every game. So this team is also going to have 2 to 3 Scarfers, maybe 3 or 4.
This one's going to be a full Scarf team.
Mono Scarf every week.
Well, besides Crest.
Listen,
and
don't sleep on Choice Scarf.
Well, also, you know what? It doesn't really... So, credit, she's aware of this, and that is why Spitops is on the team.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
There. Yeah. I mean,
Like, she did draft Sticky Web because she knows her team is slow.
is Scarfing Cresselia really the worst decision you could ever make? It doesn't have that atrocious of a base speed.
No, it's more because what else are you going to do? You want to be able to...
I mean, come in handy at some point.
Maybe.
I don't know. Anyways. I think this also suffers from its only removal being Furret.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that before we started recording.
She's no stranger to. Talonflame last season was also her only removal, and she was trying to use that offensively and utility-wise. But for it being your only removal is bad.
Yeah.
Talonflame you can manage. But
Talonflame, you only need, like, realistically, there's like 5 moves you're running on it. So there's like a cluster of like 6 moves you're running on it on a regular basis.
But also, Furret
Defog being one of them, so it's kind of easy to fit it in.
Yeah. Well, plus also, Talonflame doesn't care about how like Defog, and as long as Gale Wings, it's but Furret is base 90 by default.
Yeah.
And it's
like
Furret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Tidy Up is great and all, but like, what's it doing after it tidies up? It's
best.
Like it doesn't have what Mousehold has in like Pop Bomb, where it actually has like really solid
and
damage
also
output.
Mousehold having technicians, you can boost stuff up like Bite.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything that provides really solid damage output without the help of Terra, and even with Terra, like there's just certain things that hard wall its entire move pool.
Yeah.
So like, just kind of tidies up and dies.
Yeah.
I guess so.
This team is also like simultaneously is and is not fairly weak to fighting. It's weird.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
That nice, beautiful cluster in the middle that helps protect it between Shandy, Cress, and
Enamorous. But you have Hydra, Mammo, Ogerpon, Magnezone, and Furret.
Yeah. Not ideal. Not ideal by any means.
And you kind of have a similar thing going on with ground between,
There's 3.
The ground weaken's not as bad. The fighting weakness is very bad, which is obviously why like Furret is Terra Ghost, but like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not ideal.
The ground weakness is not really an issue, I think, because I mean, you have 2 levitators and then an Enamorous.
Yeah, it was worse at one point, and it was worse at one point. That's all.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But it's a team that I feel needs to be very, very careful with hazards. It's going to be it's going to be very boots reliant, I feel, in a lot of aspects.
Yes.
Like there's certain mons that are just locked into boots period because of the lack of removal, which is kind of annoying. Like you definitely would like to have leftovers or something like that on an Amorous for sure, like especially if you want to run like a setup set or something along those lines. Boots would be very nice to not have to use, but
you're also
overall,
Enamorous at least can avoid the spikes and T spikes. And and Lore can't avoid any of the hazards and is weak to rocks. That thing is forced to run boots every single week it comes if it expects to face hazard at all, which like you should always expect hazards. So I don't for it to not be locked into that, which sucks because Scarf Chandelure is such a threat.
Yeah, that's very true. Shandy being locked into boots pretty much forever is really, really tough. And, like, if you want to try to not use Boot Shandy, you're also locked into having to bring Furret, no matter what the matchup is. Like, if Shandy just has a good offensive matchup, well, you have to bring the Pool Noodle, and that just might not be good for you. That's a whole team slot you have to spend on a Furret. And at that point, that's kind of rough.
There's also not even a natural way to absorb toxic spikes on this team because there's no grounded poison type.
Yeah.
Or there's no poison type in general.
Yeah, not even a poison Terra to kind of
Yeah.
implement either. That's
There's no
tough.
Terra Poison Metacham to absorb your T-spikes.
Disgusting. How could you do this, CC? Absolute failure. 0 out of 10. Completely. You need to be Terra Poison for it. What are you doing?
Yeah,
Well, she can get rid of Terra Fighting.
Drop the D-League.
Yeah.
She can get rid of Terra Fighting.
No, make it instead of Terra Dragon on Basculin, be Terra Poison. It's fine.
Actually, honestly, yeah, that's kind of better.
I don't know. I kind of like Terra Dragon on it.
I mean, Terra Dragon's still good, but I don't know.
Terra Poison would be more fun because then you can absorb toxic spikes.
That's true, but then you have a
Basculin's gonna be fine.
Basculin? Is that really that good?
No, it's not at all. It is not.
Yeah.
It does really nothing for it, but it'd be funny.
I mean, I will say, there also isn't really a good rain setter for Basculin to take advantage of. I mean, I think the best you have is Enamorous.
Rain Dance Magnazone, I think, maybe.
That probably gets it.
Probably. It's not ideal, but it's a thing. Could
It is a
happen,
thing.
maybe.
I do think Basculin is a good choice as a Terra Captain, though. Because...
Especially since it got Flip Turn, which is super gross.
And Terra Water Wave Crash.
Yeah, that's just no fun. That's not going to be fun to deal with.
Yeah, it's essentially Floatzel Light.
Yeah. All she would need to do is grab a Pelipper and, just slap that on there somewhere if she could. And, what's switching in to an adaptability Terra Water Wave Crash from Basculin? If it doesn't have Water Absorb, nothing.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Plus, it also gives you another source of really good removal.
Yeah.
Is Pelipper even picked up yet?
No.
I didn't see it, and I don't see it.
No, Pelipper is not picked up.
Well, Cece, if you're listening, grab Pelipper.
You could probably make something work with that.
She's listening.
It'll be fine, Cece. You got it. But, this team has some definite flaws that stand out, but Cece's a good player, so I'm sure that she will.
Yeah. And
work
she's
with
got
it
a good
pretty
coach.
well.
She's got a good mentor.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
Yeah,
Wink, wink.
Why don't you?
Hey, someone's gotta.
That's okay. You're married now. That doesn't happen anymore. You're married now. You're cut off. That's how it works.
Yeah. Nah. Maybe. We have minors listening to this. I can swear, but I can't get that
That's
specific.
fair. All right. So with that, let's bump on down to our final division. All right. Starting us off on the Cornerstone Division. Greg, why don't you talk to us about the Adelaide Arbolevas?
Gladly. So, just looking at it, they have an incredibly fast team. They picked up Sneasler, Garchomp, Mandibuzz, Screamtail, Slowbro, Mismagius, Fortress, Ambipom, Typhlosion, Hisuian Electrode, Glaceon, and Sudowoodo. And the Terra Captains are Mismagius with Ghost, Steel, and Fairy, and Hisuian Electrode with Electric, Ice, and Ground. My first two things that I note, insanely fast. Almost everything on this team is base 100 or above. And I think that the Terra Captains are amazing choices and really big threats. I would not change a single thing about who the captains are or their types. I think it works really well.
Yeah, I really can't argue that at all. I am a huge fan of this team. It is just straight speed, but even the speed sometimes comes with its own bulk in the forms of Garchomp being bulky, Screamtail being fat as all hell, Mismagius being decently Spadef bulky.
Its HP is really bad though, so I really wouldn't count Mag as being bulky.
It can do something. It can try.
It can take some hits.
As someone who has had it, it really can.
Fair enough. But he also, all of his slow things, back it up beautifully. Mandibuzz, Slowbro, Fortress, that's disgusting. It's just so bulky. Everything is big and chunky on the slow end, and then all the fast stuff is just punch for punch for punch for punch, just constantly beating you down.
Yeah, if you don't have a good defensive core on this team or against this team, you are going to get that is going to be aggressively exploited by the sheer amount of firepower this team has.
Yeah.
You'll get out return, you'll get disable encore locked by Screamtail, like
you're gonna get put to sleep by Dire Claw because it's gonna happen.
When you say that, but CC had such a hard time getting that to proc against me whenever I helped her get ready last season.
That's really funny.
You live by the claw, you die by the claw.
That's fair.
White Claw, maybe.
Mid beverage.
I mean, the one thing is, like, this team is really special oriented besides Sneasler Garchomp, so, like, a good special wall does just sort of wall this team for the most part, besides Ambipom.
I can see that, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because, like, all your special offense kind of hinges on, like, Miss Magius, Electro, Typhlosion, Glaceon, Screamtail. Although Screamtail can technically go either way, but, like, it doesn't really matter because it's weak in both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing to call out. I mean, Glaceon and Sudowoodo, honestly, in my mind, are non-picks because they don't really add much to the team. They're just kind of, like, it's clear the rest, like, it was just, there were a few points left over, so it was kind of like, whatever.
Yeah, he had a couple points left over. He didn't have an ice type, and he didn't have a rock type on the team. And he decided, I'm going to fill out my typings.
Honestly, I think that he should have gone with a steel type that actually resisted, like...
rock or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Or flying. I mean, he's one flying resistance, so...
Does he have a flying resist?
Yeah, Sudowoodo.
Oh, yeah, because Electrode and...
Yeah, I mean, Sneasler
are not it.
Weak to it, but if somebody has a good flying type offense, that's...
Cough, cough. Gale Wings, Talonflame.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not ideal for the team, for sure. But it's one of those teams that, like, it forces a lot... It's going to force a lot of specific prep, some way to phase the Sneasler to kind of get rid of its unburden, if you can find a way to do that.
There's ways.
Forced webs to try to... Which, honestly, isn't the best thing in the universe, because 2 amazing removers is going to keep that strategy kind of limited. It's a tough team. It's a tough team to get around, because, you know, a lot of the ways you can counter certain aspects, the other half of it kind of deals with that pretty effectively. So
it's going to be a threat.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see how Jason does with it this season.
Yeah, I fully expect this team to be, like, one of the top tier threats of the season, for sure. It's definitely a standout.
I think a lot of matchups are going to hinge on what they actually end up being.
Yeah.
Just, you're going to have to hope that the things that, like, you didn't actually... that you can't counter or even check very well don't show up.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be impossible to actually effectively make a team that deals with everything.
Yeah. That's
probably
the big issue, for sure, is just trying to find some kind of combination that can deal with all of the aspects that are sitting here. It's tough.
Yeah. Like, you can, sure, you can get things that can take care of 1 or 2 maybe really slow, bulky threats, get something that can deal with 1 or 2 really fast threats, but everything being either incredibly fast and offensive, super slow and bulky, it's very scary. It's a very min-max team.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm excited by it, though. I'm very, very excited by this team. I think this is one of the ones I like the most out of the whole, whole crop.
Mm-hmm.
I also think Screamtail is a really nice choice. I just like it a lot. I think it's probably underrated.
Yeah, no, Wish Passing with, like, all this bulk, plus, like, these super strong offensive mons that can come in, apply some pressure, maybe, like, take some Life Orb chip or take a a small like hit here or there, and then just be brought back later on, pretty much to full because Screamtail's so chunky. That's gonna be a huge nightmare to deal with.
Plus, I'm also a really big fan of just fast Encore users.
Oh my god, yeah. Screamtail with Encore is so annoying.
Yeah.
Such a threatening mon.
Should we move on to the Myrtle Magikarps?
I think it is indeed time.
Talk about a team that, one, suffered from sniping, and two, much like the Corviknights, really fell into picking the favorites.
That's James for you.
We see Ursaluna, which was a late pick, mind you. This was a pick he only made because he had to. Scizor, Gyarados, who was his first pick, no surprise there. Regieleki, Hatterene, Ditto, Mimikyu, Bonnet, Chansey, Terra Hariyama of Fighting Steel Fire, Terra Morgan of Fairy, Steel, and Ghost. This team's all over the place, man.
I'm not a big fan of it personally.
That's a word for it. All over the place is definitely a word for it. The only thing that like makes this team not the worst thing I've ever seen is the fact that while he has like no real speed, he also has 2 solid Trick Room setters in Hatterene and Mimikyu to make things like Brute Bonnet, Terra Hariyama, the Hatterene itself, Ursaluna, even Scizor to an extent, like much more threatening.
Scizor, you take away IVs and give it a negative nature, and it's it's gonna ruin someone's day.
Clicking banded bug bites, banded bullet punches pretty effectively down there. It is a team that, as much as I really don't like it, it definitely is a nuisance in prep because you're forced into a lot of different avenues with it. Like Ditto forces specific prep against a lot of teams. You don't really want to bring too many setup options against a team with Ditto because you just never know when that thing's popping in. You don't want to go too fast mode kind of with it because if he goes more of a Trick Room style, half your team's pretty much neutered. But you don't want to also like lean too much onto like prepping for the Trick Room side because something like a Specs Regieleki or like a D-Dance Gyarados can come in and all of a sudden run over everything that you prepped for the slower end of things. So it is a very rough looking team, but at the same time it is super annoying to prep for.
It's a team that suffered from prioritizing favorites over things that were actually going to get picked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I was certainly very quick to be like, this is not a very good team. I do agree that it does have some potential, like, to actually be really threatening. I think a lot of that hinges on how exactly it's used.
Yeah. And that's the concern, right?
Which
the team needs to be used well. There's no guarantee it's going to be used well.
Yeah, I mean, also, like, there's one fairy resist, and it's Scizor. There's one ground resist, and that's Brute Bonnet. There's also Gyarados, which is immune, but
a ground bond's going to have a rock move to hit Gyarados also.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Like on the Switch.
I mean, there's one hazard setter, and it's Rocks on Chansey.
Yeah, not ideal.
Yeah.
Not ideal at all.
Wait, Ursaluna doesn't set hazards?
You would think.
Nope.
That's
I learned
stupid.
that the hard way by drafting Blood Moon elsewhere.
Yeah, poor you getting to draft Blood Moon elsewhere.
Listen,
I will say this team also is
I was wondering
very aggressively physical. The only special attackers it has are Regieleki and Wallbite, and Hatterene. Which means if you wall Hatterene with like anything, all you need.
Actually, Morgrim is primarily special. I'm just throwing that out.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, it's base 75. That
I would love
count.
to tell you that it
doesn't
counts.
Mimikyu have a usable special stat?
Mimikyu is 50.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Morgrim's has a better stat. Than
The highest special attackers on the team are Hatterene at 1, Regieleki at 100, Brute Bonnet at 79, and then Morgrim at 75.
Listen. It has to be said, he does have Gyarados.
Gyarados
Which,
is
to be
based
fair,
on 60.
in James's hands, Gyarados is somehow a cheat code.
Yeah.
It's basically a built-in Konami code that does everything for him. I don't know how it happens. I could not tell you. Every season, no matter what, no matter how bad the matchup is, I don't know how it happens. But somehow, him and Gyarados just find ways to do things that they shouldn't be able to do. In matchups they shouldn't be able to do them in. I don't know how it happens. It's very weird. It's one of those weird anomalies that's unexplained. It just happens. He'll go into a matchup that sucks, and Gyarados somehow hits the field, and all of a sudden, he's killed half the team. He might not win the game, but he's left a lasting impression.
That's fair.
So this team's terrifying to me.
This seems terrifying to you. I mean, I think a fun fact about this team, Pokemon and speed, because it goes straight from Mimikyu 96 to Regieleki's 200.
Yeah, the speed's not good.
No,
but hopefully he leans into the trick room.
Atrocious.
I mean, yeah, he kind of has to.
Yeah, it's the most atrocious. Like, Ditto 2 is just a nuisance. I hate Ditto. I hate Ditto so much.
Ditto, I think, is an insanely good grab for this team, just because it allows you to actually have much better speed tiers by just copying something.
Mm-hmm.
It also forces people to have to prep for potentially facing one of their own.
Mm-hmm. And that's it creates such specific move sets to try to get around Ditto.
Yeah.
Well, you might have to forego like specific coverage you might have needed for other things, or like certain mons might not come because they're just too good as targets for Ditto, and that's
good luck bringing a Shell Smasher.
Mm-hmm. God, imagine like bringing like a Mirror Herb Ditto. You switch it in on something as it goes for shells, or after it goes for Shell Smash, or as it's going for Shell Smash, and you just get the Shell Smash for free. But then you also like maybe no, it wouldn't work. Never mind.
Well, then you speed tie.
Yeah, never mind. It didn't work. My brain was thinking it was better than it was.
Yeah, no,
James has his work cut out for him.
It'd be a funny thing to pull off, though.
It would be funny. Yeah, no, definitely has the work cut out for them.
But if he pilots this team correctly, if he's on top of his shit this season, like this team could be a problem. It's just he needs to be like every turn has to be played perfectly, every prep has to be done good. He's got to be like really on his stuff.
He's got to be going out of his mind, but in the opposite way that he was when he picked this team.
But he won't. And so let's go over to the Nimbles, who were out of their mind in a good way when they picked this team.
Oh, yeah.
This
NZ Nimbles, yeah. NZ Nimbles. We have a Walking Wake, Iron Treads, Galarian Zapdos, Torkoal, Toxapex, Florges, Espeon, Bellibolt, Sableye, Leafeon, and Weirdeer. Terra Captains are Espeon with Psychic, Fairy, and Electric, and Leafeon with Grass, Fire, and Rock. Oh God. This team. Oh my lord.
Yeah.
That's damn.
The less said, the better.
Someone find a flaw for me, please. Please help me.
I'm looking.
No defog?
Okay.
Oh shit! Yeah, it's Torkoal has to do all the heavy lifting.
Thank you. I mean,
Espeon has Magic Bounce though.
Yeah.
Treads also gets Rapid Spin. Plus, they have Prankster Taunt.
Oh yeah, Treads too. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Yeah.
Oh.
So.
Fuck.
There's the only two mons that help it. Like, it has 4 ground weaknesses. And then
that's pretty bad.
And then Zapdos.
Yeah.
Okay. And its Terras don't help that.
No, very true, very true.
Like, if Leafeon tears, then it becomes another ground.
It doesn't do that well with... It honestly doesn't do that well with Fairy.
Yeah.
Iron Treads is a glass cannon, is it not?
Well,
That's fair.
not
And Torkoal doesn't
Fizz
really
Def
like
is
to
still
take
crazy
special
good.
hits.
Treads is still really good on the Fizz Def side.
Yeah, but when you think about Fairy, 90% of the time it's special.
That's true.
I mean, I think, like, Assault Vest Treads is really good on this team.
Yeah. Plus, like, Pex and Torkoal do work well defensively.
Listen, I wanted to forget that Pex was a Pokemon that existed.
I try to forget the Pex is
mean,
a Pokemon that exists, and then it haunts my nightmares.
At least it's worse than it used to be.
That is so true, and makes me feel slightly better. I might sleep for an hour before it wakes me up in
That's
a
nice,
cold
at
sweat.
least. Yeah.
The speed
chilling
tiers,
water.
actually, no,
Really
it's the speed tiers. The speed tiers go from really good to really bad.
Well, I don't know if they go from really good to really bad. Espeon's the fastest.
Yeah, Espeon being the fastest at 110 is not great.
Yeah, but I meant like a good few being 100, between 100 and 110, and then just plummeting.
That's true. It goes from 95 to 75, and then
Yeah. I mean, well, that's honestly, it doesn't really plummet that bad.
it's
I didn't know
littler
something was
jumps.
75, I'm not
Florges.
gonna lie.
Florges.
Florges is
Florges is
so much-
75?
Yeah, it's so much faster than you would
Yes.
think.
It actually has, like, really high stats for...
And then
being a
Weirder's not too slow. It's like, what, 60, 65, I think?
It's
No, well, I was looking at like Torkoal, Toxapex, Bellibolt, Sableye, Leafeon.
It's a kind of gradual increase from there, because I think Bellybolt's like in the 40s, I think?
It is. It's, like, pretty much every 10. Like,
Yeah.
you talked about 35, Bellibolt at 45, Sableye at 50, Weirder at 65, Florges at 75, and then Leafeon at 95, and then you jump up to...
Like
you
all
go
the
into
100 ones, yeah. It's actually not.
it
It's
actually
actually not
is-
bad.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in the 80s, but I don't think you necessarily need something in the 80s that
Yeah, I agree.
has enough things that are going to outspeed that stuff.
Yeah, especially since like some of the mons that you have that are up above that 80 point threshold are both going to be getting speed boosts in the sun pretty effectively as well. So like you're kind of dealing with that kind of issue as well, because Walking Wake, more commonly than not is probably going to be running a speed boosting photosynthesis, and then obviously you got chlorophyll on the Leafeon, so like that's going to be an issue as well.
Yeah, it's interesting how this team plays with Sun, because it kind of only has, like, it's Torkoal, Wake, and Leafeon. And that's kind of it in terms of direct, obvious abusers.
Which is fine.
I actually think that's kind of better, because like
It means he
you
doesn't
don't
have
want
to
to
rely on
dedicate
it.
too much of your team
That's
to
true.
it. You can tech, like, if you have a bad matchup for Sun, you can still just kind of tech like a tiny package onto a team and build more around something else, or like you can still not include it and you still have stuff like Treads, Zapdos, Espeon for good offense, and like Florges, Toxapex for solid on the defensive side as well. Like you can still have modes you can run outside of just the Sun aspect, which I think is solid with keeping the package kind of tiny. It can splash in pretty effectively
That's
if
true.
it needs to, and then if not needed, you can just kind of tech it out for something else that might be better.
I think there really aren't many obvious weaknesses, if any, to this team.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also... The only thing I feel like we haven't discussed is they only have one thing to deal with ghost types, and that's Weirdeer. So they do only have Espeon that's weak to it. Everything else is neutral.
Yeah.
And when, like, Holt is the fastest Pokemon in the league.
Yeah, Spec Shadow Balls getting rained down on you is not particularly ideal.
Yeah.
When you're forced to bring Weirder to deal with that, that's not particularly, like, the greatest thing in the universe.
There's also, the only hazard setters are T-Spikes on Pex, Stealth Rock on Torkoal, which You don't
Rocks
really
and
have
spikes on treads.
There's spikes on treads?
I'm pretty sure it gets spikes.
I don't think it does.
Time to double check. Hoorah! To Showdown. Hello, Showdown. Da Iron Treads. Moveset. Stealth Rock. No, it does not get spikes. I was wrong. Could have sworn it did. Everything got spikes. It's hard to remember what things don't.
That's fair. There's no fast hazard setter, which, like, obviously you don't need a fast... But Torkoal and Pex aren't, like... Unless you're running Sun, it's not like Torkoal's a particularly great lead, and then Pex is, like, not something you want to lead with.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's just going to let them get up all their hazards and do nothing in return.
Yeah. It's one of those teams that, like... It's going to go one of two ways. Either you're going to be in the game for a long time because of things like Torkoal.
You're going to be in the game for a long time no matter what, just because that's how Stu plays.
Yes, true, too. But this team does have the potential to also just kind of, like, get quick, easy wins off, like, a solid Sun sweep, or, like,
Be better.
a
I don't
Combine
want to...
Espeon sweep. Espeon's one of those mons that, like, has a proven track record of being a really solid Terra captain, and I fully expect it to be just as good here. Because, I mean, it's you don't really have to think much with it. You click, it's a fast mon, you click Calm Mind, it has access to potential Stab Fairy Draining Kisses, or I think it has access to potential Stab Charge Beams, which is not particularly something you want to get hit with Terra boosted after a Calm Mind. Not ideal.
And you also can pretty easily remove Dark types with the rest of the team. I mean, you have Gyapdos and Forges. So you don't have to worry about any Dark types.
For
the two of them.
So you might not even have to utilize your secondary.
Espeon.
Yeah, you can do Store Power Espeon too. Yeah, that's also really terrifying. I hate that that's an option. It's like such a viable option too. Like, it's not like a random tech option. Like, he could regularly probably pull that off without really stressing too much.
I also think it's worth noting, like, we have not talked about Bellybolt. I think Bellybolt is really underrated.
It is. I hate it.
On that,
it is.
It's, it can be really bulky.
It's one of those mons that, like, I know, like, my main experience facing it, for the most part, has been from Radical Red, but, like, every time I get to Surge, I dread that Bellybolt, dude. I dread it so badly. It's just such an annoyance, because it's so hard to just straight up kill.
Yeah, and then plus the fact that you're like, oh, I'll bring a ground type against it, and you get Muddy Water.
Yeah. And, like, it's such a consistently chunky mon, and then having reliable recovery on top of it is just an extra annoyance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It also is a great pivot. Slow Bolt Switch.
Oh my god, yeah. This team's gross. This team's absolutely disgusting.
This team is one of the best, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah, easily, like, I don't really think that there's a lot of competition for it. I think it's probably the number one. Just on paper, this team's basically like, ooh, I'm not looking forward.
Right, Stu. Well, you better back it up. So last but not least, the worst named team in the whole league. I will not take that back. You will hear me say this every recap I do, Kenji. This is the worst name. This is the worst name. I understand that it's a reference, but on the fact that it is a dumbass reference, I refuse to acknowledge it, or whatever the fuck Nick Fury said in the first Avengers movie.
You're electing to ignore it.
Yeah, I'm electing to ignore, and I'm not going to pronounce it correctly, so the Whoop That Tricks has Ursaluna Bloodmoon, an Amorous Incarnate, Ogre Pontiel, Samurai Hisui, Gengar, Arcanine, Bisharp, Articuno Galar, Kamala Whiscash with Articuno beat Terra, Flying Fighting Dark, and Whiscash beating Terra Ground. Ghost, and Steel. This reeks of a team whose captain was not paying attention to their points limits.
Yeah. Yeah, they got to the bottom and they were like, oh crap, I ran out of points, I have 4 points left and I need to get 2 mons. Oops.
Yeah.
Also reeks of a fuck, I don't have removal, and Kamala's the only removal left.
Yeah, which don't get me wrong, I love Kamala. That's my little
Kamala's
dude.
shit.
But they massacred my boy.
Kamala shit.
No, I meant as your soul removal, Kamala shit.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Especially because, like, they took one of his best tools away that made him a fun mon to play with, besides just being a hazard remover, so, like, he doesn't even get to do fun things anymore, he just gets to be a hazard remover, and that's it. It's kind of lame.
What were you referring to?
Last Resort.
They
took away the fun toy.
Crazy coverage. Like, it has a really wild moveset. I mean, normal type, but...
Yeah, but, like, I don't get to click Choice Band, Sleep Talk, and get free Last Resorts off every turn. It's no fun.
That's true. Well, you
Makes
know,
me sad.
the Nugget Bridge Rocket Grunt still does, though, and Blue Radical... Bringing it back to Red.
Yeah.
Okay, but this ain't Red, so what do we think of Ken's team?
Listen, in between seasons, a small mini Red draft tournament? Lol. Jokes. Not really.
Alright, so but what do we think about Ken's team?
I think speed tiers are rough. I mean, having Gripon and Gengar is, like, they're good, 110, but there's nothing above them, and that's kind of what we've been criticizing a lot, like, not having...
Yeah, and as someone who's used an Amorous Incarnate, the Mon is bad. Just straight up sucks.
Interesting.
It has the potential to be good. It just it needs
you
a lot
need to
of
hold its hand. You need to hold its hand, and it is very hard to hold its hand.
It doesn't come in very easily. It has to come in on free switches or sacks to kind of apply the pressure that it wants to.
And setting up is very hard with it.
Especially if you forget that you are contrary, like I've seen happen, which is funny.
Well, not even that, but like it has trouble living the hits in order to properly set up, and it gets outsped so easily.
Yeah, EVing it to try to take the hits it needs
Infernape.
to is kind of tough.
It honestly is a worse Infernape, I feel like.
It like has the same spread as Infernape.
Yeah,
Yeah.
except it's slower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, only by, what, 2 points?
3.
3.
3? Yeah, I thought it was
Isn't
107 versus 104.
And Amorous is 106.
Oh, I thought it was 104.
Yeah, it's only 2 points because 108 to 106.
I thought, okay, well, it's better. It's a little better
Even
than I
still.
thought it was.
Even still, it's not ideal. It's not great. And then,
But also, it's
Yeah.
still not. Its move pool isn't as diverse as Infernape's to warrant being able to go either way.
yeah, that's the big issue with Enamorous, is it lacks a deep enough move pool to really do what it needs to do on a regular basis. It relies a lot on... It very often can end up relying on like a Focus Blast or something to kind of do a little bit more breaking. And
Which is bad.
getting around its move pool is not that hard to do. Prep-wise, it's kind of easy to prep around a little bit. If you have the right mons for it, obviously. Like, if you don't have the right mons to deal with it, like, that's just unfortunate. That might be just your own fault. Sucks to suck. Maybe draft better. But if you have the right mons to deal with it, it's something you can kind of play around pretty easily. But Blood Moon Ursaluna, though.
Great
That
mom.
mon's
Yeah.
so
I mean, I thought about taking it, because it certainly fell. But it
It's-
kind of feels like it's locked into running AV most weeks.
I mean, is that really that bad for it?
I don't know.
yeah.
I haven't played around with it.
It is.
I guess
and
it's predictable.
It also
it-
has like decent like
Right.
it has whatchamacallit? It has like reliable recovery, which is good.
Yeah, but you can't use that if you're AV.
Yeah, but you don't need to always be AV. You don't have to always be AV. You can be life orb, be more offensive. You can, punch those holes.
There's also Wisp hash to it.
Yeah,
I
very
suppose.
true. Kamala with the Wish Pass back into Ursaluna, so you can keep clicking them Life Orb Blood Moons and alternate that Blood Moons.
Oh, no. I was saying, I don't think anything on this team. I was saying Wisp. Switch from Wisp Cash into Blood Moon.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if anything on this team can wish pass.
Kamala.
I wish you could see the look. I wish you could see the look I was giving you.
Kamala.
No, it does get wished.
Kamala's
I know, but I wish you could see the look I was
Boy.
giving you at making Kamala a good wish passer. It is a look that if you tune in to twitch.tv/asparaguy2022, you will see quite frequently.
Oh, because I'm... Are you plugging my Twitch for me?
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty slick. I'm not gonna lie. I did not expect a random plug, but
that wasn't even me plugging. I didn't even ask him to do that.
Yeah, you just got free advertisement with that.
Thank you.
Well,
come on,
it was spur of the moment, but it is a very iconic look that happens in these streams when some nonsense happens.
Which is very
frequently.
frequently.
I'll have to pop over.
The VODs are on the Twitch channel.
They sure are. And at the end of the second one, I realized that rating did not actually end my stream, so you get an extra minute of me staring at nothing.
That's beautiful. I love that so much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the look I'm giving you, at implying that Kamala is going to be able to be this jack of all trades that Ken needs, is very Norm Macdonald. Like, come on now.
Come on, perfect moveset. Wish, protect, rapid spin, U-turn. It's all it needs. That's all it needs.
Being real here, Ursaluna does actually have pretty decent support on this team. You have Samara to pretty much guarantee spikes go up. You do have fast with.
Oh wait, I forgot. Ursaluna was his second pick. Was his first pick. I for some reason I thought I got him mixed up with James, or thought they both got Ursaluna's late, but this was his first pick.
This team,
of course, it's built around it.
This team isn't really that bulky, though.
It's not.
You have
the bulkiest thing on this team is Arcanine with Intimidate.
Yeah,
and Blood Moon.
Articuno is especially bulky.
Mm-hmm. Decently specially bulky, yeah.
I also
this is a frail team.
But you know who else is really specially bulky?
Shut the fuck up.
Kamala, man.
Yeah.
He cannot.
Though.
Shut up.
It has base 115 attack. It's actually not awful.
I know, but it just gets pigeonholed into a role.
No, it doesn't.
It's
move cool.
He's so good.
No, but it's going to be pigeonholed into needing to be the rapid spinner, much like we were saying with CC's team.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Where it's going to always have to take a slot.
I'm going to help you find a matchup where all you need to do is get a rapid spin off with Kamala late game, and Kamala sweeps. We're going to get you a Kamala sweep. I'm going to find a way to do it. I don't know how.
I'm going to get an Oshawott kill easier than Ken's going to get a Kamala sweep.
You probably need 2 rapid spins on Kamala to actually make it start out speeding things, though. It's base 65.
No, we're going to do it against James. It's fine. He's specially bulky enough that he doesn't have to worry too much about Regieleki, so it's fine.
And you have Blood Moon and Wisconsin.
But yeah, I do worry about Ken's bulk. I worry about his speed.
I'm also not huge on the Terra Captains. I think Articuno is a great one. I think Fighting is a really good choice. I don't entirely understand. I get Dark because it removes the Dark and Ghost weaknesses, but I'm not sure.
I'm not sold on Whiscash.
I also think Psychic should have been better than Flying. I also agree on Whiscash. Yeah, D-Dance is nice, but it's Whiscash. And I think Kamala being your only rapid spinner and actually not...
Kamala is going to be something that comes infinitely more than Whiscash. Yep.
It's much more valuable as a Terra Captain. Going normal, Ghost, and then maybe Steel or something that you feel like your team needs.
Steel would have been amazing for Ken.
Yeah, I think that
because like
Bisharp,
I hate because Bisharp is not a good steel type.
That's true. It doesn't have really a steel type that can actually do steel type things.
Bisharp doesn't get to do steel type things.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because it's just not fast enough to do it. Even with Eviolite, it doesn't get to hang around long enough to properly do anything. And not being able to resist Fairy kind of just makes it irrelevant. It's barely a steel type. It doesn't count.
Have both Gengar and Arcanine as fairy resist though, which aren't bad. I mean, I think Arcanine is a great fairy resist to have.
Oh my god, yeah.
Arcanine's really good on this team. I think it's probably coming every week.
It will.
It kind of has to. I honestly, it's 100%. Arcanine will never not be in a matchup. I don't think that there's any way to justify it.
Yeah.
Can we also? I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what the team name means. Like, I know it's a reference, but like, I don't.
It's a wrestling reference to like what they say for Trick Williams, because they'll be like, "Oh, whoop that trick," and Kenji pluralized it, and so that it would be read as like a team name, but wants the S to be silent so that it's still read the way like the catchphrase is. It's really dumb.
Greg, I will send you a.
It's the culmination.
I will send you a random
of people
video
not making not making parody names anymore, or even like trying to create a sports team name, and just making shit and doing adjective or noun and then another noun.
I mean, I will say, at least for this, it does make more sense knowing that it was referring to a person named Trick, because I was like, is the person, is Trix a thing or a person that we are whooping? Do we want?
No, it's like his name is Trick, and then they're like, whoop that Trick, like, you know,
or is
like,
I was like, is it a whoop that's tricking?
I don't watch Tuesdays because Mondays are a better TV show again.
Hilariously enough, that's true. I just sent you a short, a YouTube short that that shows the reference in action.
Yeah.
So you can.
I gave up watching Tuesdays. I gave up watching Tuesdays when Tuesdays got just fucking ejected into the space trash in favor of watching Wednesdays, and then Wednesdays shit the bed about a year later, and then Monday became the best show to watch anyway, so...
Wildly enough. Alright, well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our draft analysis for Season 19. So, going back through the drafts real quick, I'm not going to scroll back up to all of them because I would have to redo my dimensions, because I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to. So, just going to reference back to it. You can scroll back in the video if you want to recheck the teams. That's up to you entirely. Ayrshire Scythers. On an A to F scale, what are we putting?
Myself, I don't have the doc open.
I don't actually know. Because I have to go to bed, so I'm going to let this part be a surprise for when I watch this back.
That's what I was going to do.
Oh. Jeff, why don't you solo grade these?
Alright, fine. I'll go through real quick. I can have these graded in like 2 seconds. Alright, Ayrshire Scythers. I'm going to slap a B-. Baltimore Corviknights. It's looking like I like A- for this one. Chicago Blizzards. Also, probably more on the side of A. Just solid A. Dublin Dusclopses. Dusclopsy. Kind of just a solid average B. Greenwich Giratinas. It's gonna be A- for me. Los Angeles Dark Rise. B-.
Oh,
I can't. I am physically unable to rank any of
I
Rennie's
think
teams
that's Rennie's
above.
worst ranked team.
No, he's had C's and D's. He's had a C minus before, and he's went to playoffs. It doesn't even matter. His rating is honestly doesn't. It's non-existent. Doesn't matter. My team, C. My wife's team, biased opinion A plus. Unbiased opinion probably an A minus.
B plus.
That's also fair. We got Bridgeport
Smart.
Excaliburs. A minus. Denver Dondozos. B plus. Shelly Vrooms. A minus. The Hash-slinging Slashers. I'm on board with the meme at this point. For Ferret Stealing, B. Minus. B
I
minus.
figured it was going to be a B minus without the ferret stealing.
I debated putting it lower, but I'm feeling more nice than usual. Adelaide Arbelivas. That's going to be a solid A.
It's got to be an A plus.
Verging on A plus, but it's like
got to be an A plus because
it's like a 99%.
which is an A plus.
Yeah, it's 99% out of 100 if we're going off that kind of grading scale. Myrtle Magikarps. This is a C minus with potential.
It's
NZ
better than
Nibbles.
his other drafts.
This is basically a perfect 100%. This is the A plusest of pluses. Beautiful team, nicely done. And the Whoop That Trick team is
After the name.
B.
C plus.
I wouldn't put it that, but
The name is bringing it down a lot.
But that is the team. Those are the teams for season 19. We will be, hopefully, fingers crossed, barring any nonsense, we should be able to consistently and regularly get the weekly recaps back to you guys on a semi-regular basis. And with this beautifully automated doc, we don't have to worry too much about any updating issues because the updating pretty much does itself for us, which is beautiful.
It sure does.
I love it. It is so great. Greg, Alex, thank you guys for joining me this evening. It has been a lot of fun.
Indeed.
Of course. Looking forward to talking shit and a lot of the future ones.
Absolutely.
Hopefully next time Anthony will be home.
Talking shit is the main reason why we do these things, because it just gives us free reign to do so. But yeah.
But on that note, I gotta go to bed, y'all. Jeff, take us away.
So I've been Jeff. We had Alex and Greg with us as well, and we're signing off. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.